Hello, everybody, and welcome to Stony Brook Field, where the Harwich Mariners will close out their 2019 regular season against the Brewster Whitecaps in the second game of a home-and-home to finish off Harwich's season. Harwich, of course, yesterday clinching a playoff spot by defeating the Whitecaps in a game in which they won 6-0 and eliminated Brewster from playoff contention. Hi again, everybody. Colin Casey alongside Tyler Henry. And Tyler, not really much to play for in this game, as Harwich can't really improve their playoff seed and Brewster already being eliminated from playoff contention. So just going to see some new faces, I guess, out there for both teams.
Yeah, it'll be a laid-back day. Sean Harrington's going to get the start behind the dish for the Harwich Mariners, still hitting the 9-hole, and then also a pitching debut going to be made here by Greg Tobin. So Greg Tobin out of Brandeis University, a couple of local guys from around here getting some experience here in the latter end of the Cape, and we'll see how the game goes. But yeah, it's going to be a laid-back day for some baseball.
So Max Marshak out of Texas Tech will lead things off. He is the center fielder, and his teammate Dylan Noisy out of Texas Tech at short, and he will bat second. I'll get the rest of the lineup in a moment, but Mason Black, the starting pitcher out of Lehigh, and he will deliver the first pitch as it is at the knees for a called strike one. Noisy followed by Daniel Cabrera, the left fielder out of LSU, Chris Lanzilli, first baseman out of Wake Forest, Christian Fedko, the DH out of UConn, Corey Acton, the second baseman out of the University of Florida. As the 0-1 pitch is swung on and missed, and the bottom three will be Riley Terrata, third baseman out of Dayton, Mike Ludwig, the right fielder out of Wake Forest, and rounding out the order is Sean Harrington, the catcher, as the 0-2 pitch from Mason Black to Marshak is hit on the ground foul.
Yeah, Max Marshak, a guy who's reached base a number of times over the last couple of days, a couple of walks for him in the game on Monday, and he was able to come around to score both times and steal a couple of bags. So not a guy you want to put on for free, and really kind of an interesting pitching matchup as Mason Black slated to go today. We'll get into that here in just a minute, but an interesting choice not to throw him yesterday.
Marshak fouls a pitch straight back. Yeah, interesting to say at the very least. Black had a 3-0 record on the season, and you would have thought he would have gone in a do-or-die game for Brewster, but instead they went with Daniel Harper, and things did not go well as Harper surrendered 6 runs in the second inning, and that ultimately was all the offense that the Harwich Mariners needed as they blanked the Whitecaps 6-0 as a flare out towards second and a leaping catch by Mason Dodd, who's usually a first baseman, out there playing second. He makes a nice play to open up the ball game.
Well, it's not just Harwich that'll be having some fun today. A couple of defensive shifts for the Brewster Whitecaps defense. You got Gage Workman playing over there at third base today. A couple of guys shifting, as you mentioned. Dodd typically not the second baseman. So it's going to be a fun couple of days here. Brewster closing out their season, one game today, and then a game at Bourne tomorrow to wrap up their 2019 campaign.
First pitch fastball to Dylan Noisy is sent over the first base dugout foul.
Yeah, a lot of really soft contacts here early. Guys not really squaring it up, but again, just kind of a laid-back day. The team wasn't even here until about an hour and 15 minutes before first pitch. So, very loose, kind of a show-and-go kind of day.
The 0-1 misses low and outside. Noisy hitting just 194 on the season, but he has started to turn a corner in the last couple of weeks, as has many Harwich Mariners. He's got 2 home runs and 8 RBIs. So 1-1 dips into the strike zone.
Yeah, it looks like Mason Black's not playing around here. He wants to get one more good performance in the books, so Harwich hitters are going to have a tall task today.
Black's 1-2. A breaking ball chased at by Noisy, and he will strike out for out number 2. So 2 up and 2 down for the Brewster Whitecaps to be in the ball game.
Of course, a couple of guys that are going to get a day off today. Nico Cavadas will not be playing. Neither will Joey Weimer. So a couple of guys in addition to the others will be getting an extra day. And again, Harwich has the advantage of not having to play a game tomorrow. So they'll actually have 48 hours to really kind of rest and get ready for that opening playoff round, which will be against either Orleans or Chatham, depending on the next 2 games between the two.
First pitch grounded up the middle. Locklear makes an easy play. The throw onto TJ Collette is in time, so it is a 1-2-3 first for Mason Black and the Brewster Whitecaps. They will try to get the offense going. We're through half an inning from Stony Brook Field. Nothing's your score. You're listening to the Harwich Mariners Radio Network.
by Monomoy Real Estate and Construction and Pretty Picky Properties Select Vacation
Bottom of the
Rentals.
first inning from
Pretty
Brewster
Picky
as the
and Monomoy,
Whitecaps look to try to get
the
some
team with
offense
everything
going
you
again.
need
They've been
to hit a
eliminated from
real
playoff
estate home
contention,
run in
but
Brewster.
they're looking to maybe get some revenge against the Harwich Mariners in what can basically be called an exhibition game between these two teams.
Yeah, I mean, they can at the very least even up the season series between the two, which could certainly help out their cause in terms of looking back on the season. There are also scouts at the game here today, not very many, but you know, Colin, that's something interesting. You and I kind of talked about that over the course of the last couple of weeks. After the All-Star break, the number of scouts goes down, but I was talking with Harwich GM Ben Layton, and he actually said that the quality of scouts goes up because after the All-Star break, it's the scouting directors that start showing up to the games, and they have their lists from all of their other guys. So, you know, again, it's still not a complete waste, and that's certainly why Black is out there. But let's get into the Harwich pitcher. Greg Tobin out of the University of Brandeis is going to be out there for the M's today. What can we expect out of him?
Well, I mean, he's a southpaw that looks like he doesn't throw all that hard from what I've seen in the warm-ups, but he's got this deceptive delivery where it's basically a three-quarters coming almost at sidearm level. So we'll see if Tobin can kind of fool these Brewster Whitecaps hitters, and he will face Duke Ellis, the lefty out of Texas, to lead things off in the bottom of the first.
Yeah, really a crafty lefty that relies more on stuff than overpowering speed.
First pitch misses low and outside, and his size and his delivery reminds me a little bit of Will Heflin, kind of similar wind-ups, so we'll see if he can find the same success as Heflin has had this season. 1-0 to Ellis is over for a strike.
Well, Tobin did have 9 starts last year at Brandeis University, the 2018-19 campaign. He pitched 56 innings. He gave up 35 runs and struck out 45 to just 22 walks.
Breaking ball misses low. Duke Ellis, the 2017 20th round selection by the San Diego Padres, finds himself at the top of the order. He's been kind of down towards the 8 and 9 hole with both teams he's played with this season as the pitch misses towards the backstop.
And I think it's worth noting, too, this pitcher-catcher combo making both of their debuts today is the guy behind the plate. We alluded to it earlier. It's actually going to be Sean Harrington. So Harwich with a couple of fresh faces here at the end of the season.
And the 3-1 misses just below the knee, so Duke Ellis able to coax a leadoff walk in. That will bring up Arizona State's Gage Workman, who's at third base in this one.
Yep, Workman will be sliding over to third today, and that's actually traditionally where he plays at Arizona State, but one of those guys that have been transitioned to be more of a shortstop throughout the course of this season. Also the All-Star Game MVP. We talked about that a little bit, the All-Star festivities. A lot of fun. It was a good day, a very hot day, but a very good day at Eldridge Park this summer.
First pitch swinging is Workman. He fouls it straight back. Workman actually atop the list of the most triples in the entire CCBL with 4 on the season.
Yeah, not a big surprise there. You look at him and he definitely looks like a power hitter, but he's got some good speed to him as well. Really lengthy strides, and that's helped him work himself around to third a number of times this year.
And a pickoff move, and Ellis is caught. Lanzilli, as the throw comes to the second baseman, and the tag is going to be applied by Tobin, who does a good job of covering first base, and Ellis is picked off one away in the bottom of the first.
Well, how about that? Tobin takes care of his own runner there, and a fun little run down for the Mariners to get the first out of the game.
It was a pickoff to Lanzilli, the throw to Acton, and Acton returned the throw over to Tobin, who applied the tag. So bases will be empty now for Workman. Hitting .265 on the year. As the 0-1 is a breaking ball that misses low.
Chris Lanzilli, one of the last guys to get a nickname other than Zilli this year. And look at the lineup card from Coach E today. You see Chris Bombzilli, which makes sense after his 4-home run game the last couple of days.
There's a fly ball down the right field line. Cabrera will give it a look, and it hops into the Harwich bullpen.
And I'm not sure what it is, but the bat, or the ball coming off the bat, just sounds a little off today. It's been both ways. I've heard it about four different guys have made contact, and just not the typical solid sound we're used to hearing. So not really sure what that's all about, but one way or another, here comes the 1-2 pitch.
And it is spoiled off to the right once again by Workman. The last time these two teams met, it was a 12-11 victory for Harwich. And in hindsight, probably the biggest victory when it comes to Harwich's season, considering if that game goes either way, whether it be a tie or a Harwich loss, things would have turned out possibly differently as Workman lines one out into left center field. That's going to be a base hit. Workman's going to try stretching out for 2. The throw coming in is offline, And Gage Workman has a hustle double.
Well, the one good thing for Gage Workman is he'll have a chance to maybe pad his stats a little bit today. All these players will, so Workman is in scoring position here with nobody out for TJ Collette.
From Kentucky,
Max Marshak with that throw in. We know he's got a good arm, but that throw misses to the right, and now will be a runner in scoring position for Collette, who was in the home run derby during the All-Star weekend just a week ago. Collette had a 2-home run game against Harwich earlier this year. He's got 3 total against the Mariners this year. So he will face the left-hander Tobin, who looks at Workman on second and comes home. And he puts a fastball right on the outside corner for a strike.
Yep, not a bad look there. And again, the strange delivery that he has can make that fastball even more effective.
Slight shift on Collette with Corey Acton playing deep in the second base hole as the 0-1 just misses off the plate. DJ Collette out of Indiana, that attends Kentucky, plays for the Wildcats, hitting .275 on the Cape Cod season. And he takes a big cut and fouls the third pitch of the at-bat off. It's now 1-2.
Yep, Greg Tobin looking for his first strikeout of his Cape Cod League career, and we'll see what his go-to put-out pitch is here. Guys like this can have a number of different looks that can get you as a hitter, so we'll see what Tobin's strikeout pitch is and whether or not he decides to fire it in here with a 1-2 count.
And Tobin will bluff off to first as TJ Collette and Tyler Hardman are both in the top 3 in the entire league in home runs, as Collette tied with Nico Cavadas of Harwich with 9 on the year. Hardman right behind with 8. So a lot of power in this Brewster lineup as the 1-2 is swung on a miss for strike 3 as Tobin pulls the string and picks up his first strikeout as a Mariner.
Yep, and there it is, Tobin's first K. So he's settling in nicely here. Just one more out, and he's got the inning done as Tyler Gentry comes to the plate. And a relieving sight to you and I, Colin, even though it doesn't really matter a whole lot. But Tyler Hardman not in the lineup today for Brewster, so that's a little comforting.
So instead it'll be Tyler Gentry, who's had some success against the Mariners this year. 2 homers, 21 runs batted in, and he takes a first pitch ball. Gentry out of Alabama. His teammate Brett Auerbach, also from Alabama, he gets a much-needed day off after starting in both of the doubleheader games yesterday. 2-0 count now to Gentry.
Yeah, it was a long, grueling day of baseball yesterday for most of the East as Chatham, Orleans, Harwich, and Brewster all played split doubleheaders against each other. So each of those teams had 2 games in what turned into a relatively lengthy day, as this pitch is going to get over for strike 1. And again, the one team that didn't was YD. They've got their last game of the year today, and then they're done. So Harwich and YD, the only 2 teams in the East that will be concluding their seasons today.
Plus, YD didn't have to play a doubleheader yesterday, so it's a win-win for them. The 2-1 is hit hard on the ground, but foul just past the third base bag.
They'll get to rest up some of their guys and try to bounce back after a loss to the Hyannis Harborhawks yesterday. That's a hard thing to do in a 9-inning baseball game, lose to Hyannis, something that just 4 teams have done this year. Correction, just 3 teams have done this year. It's 5 of the 8 wins this year for Hyannis have come via the 7-inning variety.
2-2 is in the dirt. Nice stop by Sean Harrington in his first full game as a Harwich Mariner.
Yep, the defense on full display. And Sean Harrington's a guy who may actually get some more playing time as Mike Rothenberg shut himself down for the year. Obviously, catchers, you know how it is with the knees and everything else. So decided to take the rest of the summer off, and he has gone home.
It's a pop-up left side of the infield. Terada crossing into foul territory, and he will make the catch for out number 3. So despite a 1-out double from Gage Workman, Brewster Whitecaps cannot score. We're through 1 inning from Stony Brook Field. Brewster nothing, Harwich nothing. You're listening to the Harwich Mariners Radio Network.
superb customer service.
Welcome back to Stony Brook Field. We are in the second inning, scoreless, and we have a special guest on alongside Tyler Henry. I'm Colin Casey, but we also add to the broadcast booth our producer all season long, and that is Matt Lucy. Matt is pretty much in charge of making sure the stream is up and running, keeping track of score, keeping the scoreboards updated, the out-of-town scores, pretty much everything. So, Matt, welcome to the broadcast.
Hey, thanks for letting me on, guys.
And of course, as everybody who's been watching these games throughout June knows, Matt, it was not Matt's fault that the broadcasts were not up throughout the month of June. That was more of a technical issue, but Matt making sure all the buttons get pressed in the right order, and I'd say he's done a good job so far. So welcome to the broadcast, Matt. It's good to have you.
Thank you.
So Chris Lanzilli will lead things off in the top of the second inning. Lanzilli had himself quite the day yesterday. Reached base 3 times in Game 2, but more importantly went 3 for 3 with 3 home runs and 4 RBIs in Game 1 as first pitch to Lanzilli catches the bottom of the strike zone. So Lanzilli now all of a sudden has 4 home runs on the season as the 0-1 dips below into the dirt for a ball.
And Matt, from the producer's point of things, sitting there handling all that this year, tell me here after this next 1-1 pitch that will be up high for a ball. What have you seen out of Chris Lanzilli this year?
Well, it was definitely a rocky start to the year. He had a below 100 average, but after that All-Star break where he went to do the home run derby, he's been on a tear. As you said, last game, 18 consecutive at-bats where it was productive. Just insane, and that's big for the Mariners for this upcoming playoff run.
Pitch is over for a strike, and I'm sure Lanzilli got the memo that some of the more important scouts were coming down for the final weeks of the season and really picked it up as he has been the hottest hitter in the Mariners lineup. But here he swings and misses through a Mason Black fastball and strikes out. That is strikeout number 2 for Black in the first out of the second.
Yep, like I said, Black's going to be out there throwing everything that he's got here, as this will be his last start, likely in Cape League career, and also the last start of his 2019 campaign. So Christian Fedko comes to the plate now, looking to get a little bit more steam here before the end of the season.
Fedko out of University of Connecticut. His brother Kyler also will be making the playoffs with the Bourne Braves, as a couple of 4 seeds for John Fedko's boys as the breaking ball misses low.
It's a Bourne Braves team that's been just tearing it up the last couple of days after they win a game yesterday. I believe it was 14-4 and then 13-3 the day before.
Hard grounder to third. Workman gloves it easily. The throw to Collette is in time. So it's a quick start to the ball game for Mason Black. 5 up, 5 down, and Tyler, I'm pretty sure Brewster fans probably wish this took place yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, again, it just seemed like they were throwing in the towel yesterday. The second you saw them go to Daniel Harper, who had already given up 8 hits and 6 runs in the first game against the Mariners, comes out again yesterday, gives up 6 runs, and that's all she wrote for the Brewsters season. So again, it really just felt like they had no interest in trying to go out there and compete in that last game, or they would have thrown their ace, Mason Black.
First pitch fastball misses inside to Corey Acton. And Matt, you're obviously a high schooler at Monomoy High School right over in Harwich, so local kid from South Yarmouth. What kind of experience has this been as a high schooler kind of watching baseball? As this one's a ground ball up the middle, fielded cleanly. The throw is in plenty of time, and we'll keep it right here. But how has this experience really helped you as just you'll be junior in high school? So getting this type of experience now, how has this summer been for you?
Well, it's been an unreal experience because almost everyone here is in college, and it's just amazing that I'm able to be here as a high school student. And it's something I really enjoy, watching baseball.
A 26-mile bike trail.
And some playoff baseball coming up here too, so it's not like your season will be ending today. Is a day off tomorrow, and then we'll be right back at it on at whatever day the next day is. I've lost track at this point. It's baseball day somewhere, so that's kind of been the other interesting thing this summer. You lose track of time, you lose track of days, as you got a really big grind, 44 games in what ended up being about 50 days.
Yeah, certainly, and I know since you've grown up here on Cape Cod, Matt, you've had a lot of experience watching Cape Cod baseball throughout your entire life. And I think you've told me before about a cool experience you had with Chris Sale when he was a member of the YD Red Sox.
Yes. Way back, maybe like 8 years ago when Chris Sale was on the YD Red Sox. I got a hit off of him in a wiffle ball game at the Red Sox baseball camp.
Was it a fastball, slider?
I might have been a meatball, but we'll leave it at that.
Yeah, I'm sure that's something that definitely you won't forget no matter what. Of course, Chris Sale, a member of the hometown team out here in New England, the Boston Red Sox. So definitely a cool experience, no question about it. As it'll be the bottom of the second inning with Greg Tobin pitching a scoreless second, or a scoreless first, looking to pitch a scoreless second as...
And the Turtles on the field.
Yeah, we saw a couple of different pool floats in the Brewster dugout, and now we've got a turtle going down, and they're going to put it in the Harwich Mariners dugout as looks like someone will hang on to it over there.
Number 7, Jesse
This is wonderful. So we've got one of the players who brought it over here is actually going to be the third base coach for this inning. So some players getting in on the fun, and Harwich getting a free turtle floaty out of the deal.
5, 6, and 7 hitters due up for Brewster as Jesse Franklin will lead things off. And he swings at the first pitch for a strike. Franklin was really struggling against lefties all season long. He was 1 for 16 coming into yesterday, but his first at-bat against Jacob Polish, he was able to get a base hit up the middle. So he'll face another lefty in Greg Tobin, the 0-1. It's breaking ball sent high in the air. Tobin coming in, he can't find it, but Lanzilli smartly calls that off, and some of the experience as an outfielder paying off as 1 pitch and 1 out to begin the inning.
Yep, and Jesse Franklin, I think this will be his last game on the Cape regardless of tomorrow, so the Michigan product will be going home early, and here comes Mason Dodd, who's playing at second base today.
Dodd, another guy coming from Katuitt earlier in the season, so Brewster getting a lot of guys from the Kettleers that started out the season just down the road as first pitch is in the dirt for a ball. Mason Dodd out of Belmont Abbey. Big lefty awaits the 1-0, and it's going to miss low and outside.
So Matt, I have to know, what do you think of the big turtle floaty that they got out there in the Harwich dugout right now?
It's interesting. I don't know if they're just be passing around all game, but it's good that they're having fun here on the last day of the year. No, neither team has anything to play for, so.
It's a 3-0 count now to Mason Dodd, and I guess that's kind of a tradition, I'm sure, here in the Cape, is just have a lot of fun when your game doesn't matter. And Dodd hits this ball a ton out towards center field, chases Marshak back at the wall, and it is gone. A solo home run for Mason Dodd as he muscles up on one, hits it over the center field fence, and Dodd, with his second home run of the season, gives Brewster an early 1-0 lead.
Yeah, and not a bad crowd on hand here at Stony Brook Field, as this is the last home game of the season for the Whitecaps. So, yeah, ball really hit a ton, and we'll go to our expert analyst here, Matt Lucy. You want to break down that last pitch?
Yeah, the ball was crushed. It was dead center. Brewster's pretty deep field, and got all of that ball.
So Tobin surrenders his first run via a solo shot from Mason Dodd, and that'll give Christian Malfett an opportunity, as he has been nothing short of a veteran here in the Cape League as he lays off the first pitch for a ball.
Yep, a guy who's been here all 4 years. He is the most tenured guy in the entire Brewster Whitecaps organization.
1-0 from Tobin is hit in the air. This one will stay in the park out to left center field. Marshak coming over, and he will make the catch for out number 2.
The second most tenured guy in the Brewster Whitecaps organization, who is at least under the age of 25, will be joining the broadcast later. It's Koki Riley, the 3-year veteran writer for the Whitecaps, who's from Brewster, went to Nauset High School, and they had a ceremony before the game for all of the interns. Apparently we missed that one. No, I'm just kidding.
Koki himself had quite the roller coaster on Twitter yesterday in that first game of the doubleheader against the Chatham Anglers for the Brewster Whitecaps, as Justin Vogt takes first pitch outside.
Oh, he sure did. I mean, you go into that first game, you go down 5-0 to Chatham, knowing that if you lose and Harwich wins, you're going to be looking at the end of your season. This next pitch is going to get in there for a strike, and then they come back, and in the same inning, Orleans comes back on Harwich. Now you're back into the middle of things, so you go home, and from what they said, they actually got lunch out in Chatham.
This ball grounded to third. Terada has it. Throw on to Lanzilli is in time, and the inning is over. So we're through 2 innings. A solo home run for Mason Dodd gives the Brewster Whitecaps a 1-0 lead. You're listening to the Harwich Mariners on the Harwich Mariners Radio Network.
Of Cape Cod, we know that
To the third we go, 1-0 Brewster with the lead, and we have another guest joining us as it is now our beat writer, Jack Belanger. And
how's it going, fellas?
Jack has actually been on before. He was on a couple of days ago in that Chatham game where the Mariners were able to pick up a huge victory at Veterans Field. And Jack, you've been writing for this team this whole season all season long. How has this last couple of weeks been, especially when the team finally getting hot at the right time?
You know, it's been pretty good. It's been a lot easier for the post-game interviews. You know, it's a lot better to interview coaches and players that are happy about their performances. There's a little more insight. You know, when you lose, it's more of just, you know, it was the same reasons we lost every day. You know, we are winning now. We're winning in new ways. You know, winning because of our hitting, winning because of our pitching.
So, for the third inning, it'll be 7, 8, 9 hitters as Mason Black has looked really strong, going 6 up, 6 down, and you wonder if he's pitching with a little bit of fire, knowing that had he had this performance yesterday, his team might still be in the playoff hunt.
And with Riley Tirada standing up, Jack, I want to come to you for a minute because Cameron Locklear, the second baseman today for the Brewster Whitecaps, a guy that I know you know just a ton about, a ridiculous amount of information. Give us the lowdown on what makes Cameron Locklear such a special player.
Well, you know, he's a new player at Brewster this year, so you know, he's only been here for less than 2 weeks, and you know, he's got a lot to prove. You know, a lot of scouts down here, and he's really want to show his talent at the second base position.
First pitch, or the second pitch, I should say, Riley Tirada's in there for strike 2. It's 0-2 as Tyler not waiting any time, peppering Jack with the tough questions.
Hey, you know what? You got to ask the tough questions, but I knew he could handle it. He made the beat writer position for a reason, and you know, he's getting the job done. Here comes the 0-2 from Black.
It's up and away for a ball. Tirada, a late arrival to the Mariners, but of course he spent most of the first half of the season with the YD Red Sox. He might get an opportunity to play them at some point this postseason.
Yeah, you know, even though he only has a 2.14 average, I've kind of been impressed with Tirada. He's had some really nice games for this team. You know, YD was saying we weren't getting a ton in him, but you know, he's actually been a valuable key guy in terms of depth in the infield, and a guy that can contribute at the bottom of the lineup.
Has shown a lot of solid defense over at the hot corner and has actually swiped a couple of bags over the last couple of games. And he bats with the bases empty, nobody out. The 2-2 pitch is in there for strike 3, and Tirada kind of cringed after that call, but he will head back to the dugout, and it's 7 up, 7 down to begin the game for Mason Black.
And Jack, give us the breakdown on where that pitch missed and whether or not you agree with Bill Julie, the home plate umpire, on that last call.
You know, it was a tough call. It looked a little low. You know, I guess I'm sure it's, you know, last game of the year. He probably wants to get the game done with quickly.
So Mike Ludwig will get a chance. The University of Wake Forest product. He hits this ball pretty well out towards left field, but over to make the play is Jesse Franklin, and Mason Black continues to pitch well as he is just carving through this Mariners lineup.
Yep, so here comes Sean Harrington, the catcher for the Harwich Mariners today. And Jack, I'll let you preview Mr. Harrington. What does he bring to the table here for this Harwich team?
Well, he's a local guy, you know, and so, you know, familiar with the area. He's going to provide some depth at the catcher for us, which is, you know, really huge. You know, give Pat Winkle some off the break, which, you know, Winkle's been getting hot. So this guy's definitely going to be a good depth piece for us going into the playoffs.
Very aggressive stance here, Colin, as he already took the first pitch in for a strike. This will miss for a ball.
Perfect Mariner, aggressive.
Yeah. And Harrington, actually, another guy who played with another team earlier this year. He was a member of the Falmouth Commodores at the start of the year. Actually, he was a defensive replacement in the opener against Harwich as he takes a pitch over for strike 2.
Yep, a game that saw a lot of players for the Harwich team that have since been either let go by the team or have left on their own accord.
1-2 is lined through the right side of the infield. It's a base hit, so Sean Harrington, with his first career at-bat with the Mariners, rips one into right field for a single.
So with Max Marshak coming to the plate, Jack, you're behind me. I'm going to have to ask you to not look at my scorebook, but how many guys can you name from the opening day starting lineup for the Harwich Mariners?
So, we say we had Christian Fedko.
Yes.
Nico Cavadas.
Yes.
Bobby Seymour.
Mm-hmm.
Jackson Greer.
Actually, Seymour was not in the opening day lineup.
Was not.
So pop up to the right side of the infield, and Dodd will head back on the outfield grass, and He makes a catch. That will retire the side. We're through 2.5. It is 1-0. We'll keep it right here. And, Jack, you want to keep going?
Yeah, sure. I'm going to say we had Danny Harris the fourth.
Yes, and really quickly, Fedko was not in the starting opening day lineup either. So you've only gotten 2 so far.
We had Mike Ludwig.
No, Ludwig was not in the opening day lineup either.
In addition, he authored this year's All-Star Game's defining
Was
moment
Matt
for the
Oldham
inside
on the
the
lineup?
park home
He
run.
was. He was the opening day catcher.
So he was the catcher. Okay.
From
We had Logan
Arizona
Allen
State,
start.
number
Yes.
25, Gage Workman.
Trying to think who else we have out there.
One of them is starting today.
One of them starting today. Well, Chris Lanzilli.
Chris Lanzilli.
This player batted 275. He recorded
who else do we have out
33 hits
there?
in
You are missing the starting opening day center fielder,
Center
the
fielder.
opening day designated hitter,
Well, Joe Lamuscio.
Joe Lamuscio. Very good. You're missing the opening day designated hitter
Designated hitter.
and the opening day third baseman and right
What was-
fielder.
Which baseman?
Third baseman.
Third baseman.
From Kentucky, number
Was
53, DJ
Brooks.
Collette.
Ben Brooks got a pinch hit, but he was not in the lineup on opening day. You are missing one current outfielder.
One current outfielder. Oh, was Joey Weimer?
No.
I don't know, dude.
Want
Just
me
give it
to help you out
Yeah,
here?
go ahead.
All right. Is the current outfielder Chris Gallen?
It is Chris Gallen.
Gallen.
And then was Matt Koperniak also in
Matt
the
Koperniak was the opening day DH.
DH,
Oh,
right?
man.
Yes.
Third base, was it Malinowski?
It was not. Malinowski got the starting game
Cam
too.
Thompson at
Cam
third base.
Thompson.
Yep.
And then, of course, the other 3 pitchers that started for Harwich that day were Antonio Menendez, Hunter Waldis, and Cam Bauer.
Yeah, and then the middle infield, it was Dempsey, right? Dempsey and Harris, or just Harris?
The middle infield was Danny Harris and, yes, Brian Dempsey.
Yep. So a lot has certainly changed over the last 2 months in this season, as first pitch of the bottom of the third is swung on and missed by the 9-hitter Cameron Locklear. Locklear not getting a ton of action this year with the Whitecaps, so he will try to make the most of this at-bat, and it's a 1-1 count now to the Liberty product.
First 2 pitches from Tobin so far have been low. One hit for a strike, and the other one's been in the dirt.
And that one will miss just inside a fastball.
Really quickly, we're going to have a quick in-game report from sideline reporter Alex Weiner. Alex, can you tell us after this next pitch that will miss for a ball about the turtle in the Harwich dugout?
I'm a sideline reporter too now?
You are.
All right, so I believe it was Brett Auerbach of Brewster had a inflatable turtle in their dugout.
And there's a line drive to right field, but it is right at Mike Ludwig for out number 1.
And so he is the first base coach at the
Top
moment
of
for
the order
Brewster.
for the Whitecaps
And
to
so he
up.
brought it
Now
over,
batting
and
the center
Chris
fielder
Gallen, Nico
from
Cavadas, and
Texas,
especially
number
Antonio
4,
Menendez have had a ball with
Ellis.
that turtle. They're using it as a rally turtle. Menendez was bouncing it up and down as Harrington got that base hit. So, you know, they're gonna have the rally turtle in there for today's game at least.
Sounds good. We'll have more from Rally Turtle reporter Alex Weiner sometime later on in the broadcast.
Ooh.
First pitch to Duke Ellis comes inside and hits him. It looked like an off-speed pitch that got away, but Ellis will reach base for the second time in this one, and Brewster Whitecaps run around first with 1 away.
Yeah, I was
Now batting
kind of
the
wondering if
third
Duke Ellis was going to
baseman
charge the
from
mound there.
Arizona
Ellis
State,
had a
number
smirk on his face,
25,
but he'll take his base. You know, it's
Workman.
all fun and games here today as you see a little grin and an apology from Greg Tobin looking over to first base.
So here's Gage Workman, who crushed a double out towards left center field in his first at-bat. And Tobin's first pitch misses low. It seems like he's trying to keep the ball down after giving up that home run to Mason Dodd in the second.
Yeah, well, you know, it doesn't seem like we haven't seen a lot of speed out of Tobin so far. Definitely he's trying to, you know, stay alive, force some ground balls, and avoid another deep fly ball.
And this one's a high pop-up, and I mean really high out towards shallow right center. Max Marshak will come in. He makes the catch as Ellis retreats to first, 2 away in the inning.
Yeah, on that pitch, exactly what I said. You know, he left the ball a little high, and, you know, got a little lucky that Workman just missed underneath.
So with 2 away in the bottom
Now
half of the
batting,
third,
the
TJ
first
Collette,
baseman
it's an opportunity.
from
He struck
Kentucky,
out
number
swinging in.
53,
Tyler, this is a
TJ
unique situation
Collette.
here at Stony Brook Field as we're kind of starting 30 minutes earlier than usual. It kind of feels weird starting at 4:30.
Yeah, it's almost like they started the game where we could potentially get all 9 innings in without having to worry about darkness. It's kind of crazy how that works, but again, it will be a 4:30 start time here, and we will get through all 9 innings unless there's some kind of just massive offensive outbreak, and both teams score 23 runs.
It seems like they used up all those runs in that last game here at Stony Brook Field, as Tobin keeping a close eye on Ellis, who does have a decent amount of speed over at first base. 6 steals on the year for Duke Ellis. Finally, the first pitch to Collette is lined, and it is a foul ball just outside of that first base line.
Yeah, Tobin left that one right over the middle of the plate, and, you know, all he had to do was just swing and, you know, took that one for a rep.
So for TJ Collette, he will look to retake that home run lead, be the first guy to hit double-digit home runs on the season. And he still has another game to do it tomorrow, as the Brewster Whitecaps still have to play the Bourne Braves one last time, and Collette swings through another pitch. He's behind in the count, 0-2.
Yeah, and for Brewster, it's going to be one more road trip. As you mentioned, they'll finish their year out on the road. If both 4 seeds make it all the way to the championship game, we will get Fedco Bowl in the end of the year. As John's sons, Christian and Kyler Fedco, would both be in that, but still got to get through a couple of rounds of postseason play first. Again, Harwich will be playing either the Orleans Firebirds or the Chatham Anglers.
I'm sure the Mariners wouldn't exactly want to face that Bourne Braves team, as they went 1-3 against them this year. The only team they had a losing record against in the West this season, as the 0-2 misses low in the dirt.
Yep, it's kind of ironic that they'd much rather play teams like Katuitt, Wareham, or even Falmouth. But, you know, the one you'd love to play is Hyannis, but unfortunately they will not be joining the postseason party this year.
And for good reason.
The 1-2 pitch is fouled off, as Collette way out in front of that ball.
Collette's really going out for number 10, trying to hit double digit on the season. Those are 2 big swings so far.
Jack, tell us what makes TJ Collette's swing so special.
Well, you know, he's a natural lefty. You know, everyone says, you know, lefty hitters often are kind of have more power at the plate, and, you know, not a terribly deep field out here.
Collette goes the other way with this pitch and drops it into left field in front of Daniel Cabrera for a 2-out single.
Nice little inside-out swing from Collette. You know, just swung with the pitch and took it the other way.
Number 28.
So that will keep the inning alive. 2 on, 2 away for Tyler Gentry, who had a really strong game in the first meeting between these 2 teams at Stony Brook Field. I believe he had a triple and a home run in that ball game. Drove in 4 runs.
Certainly a guy with a lot of pop in his bat as well. That's why he's hitting the cleanup spot today.
Very close stance for him, and he takes first pitch for a strike. Gentry popped out to third to end the first inning. He's got a couple of guys on, with Ellis at second and Collette at first. Pitch from Tobin. Ground ball left side, fielded cleanly by Dylan Noisy. The throw is low, and it is skipped in as Lanzilli can't pick it, and a run is going to score. Here comes Ellis. It's actually a pretty close play, but Harrington couldn't get the tag in time, and Duke Ellis scores the second Brewster run of the game. It's now 2-0.
Yeah, and more than likely going to see the run come across there on the air. As tough throw there skips under the glove of Chris Lanzilli. We'll see whether or not that's how they rule it.
Michigan, number 7,
And they do
Jesse
give
Franklin.
an error, I'm assuming, to Dylan Noisy, as that throw came up low. It would have been a tough dig out by Lanzilli. So now it's first and third. Collette on third, Gentry aboard after the error at first base. So Tobin, with the unearned run allowed, it looks to try to get out of the inning with Jesse Franklin at the plate. And Franklin hammers this pitch out towards right center field. That's going to be a base hit. Collette scores. Into third is Gentry, and once again, runners at the corners, but now a 3-0 lead for the Whitecaps.
Yep, and again, the crowd very happy about this here on the final home game for the Brewster Whitecaps here in the 2019 campaign. So here comes Mason Dodd, who already has a home run today. We'll see whether or not he can maybe add on to that.
And he looks to pad those stats, as he now has 2 homers and 5 RBIs with the Brewster Whitecaps, not including his stats with Katuitt earlier in the year. So Tobin laboring a little bit after having 2 away with a runner on first base. And his fastball misses outside for ball 1.
Tobin's had a good job, done a good job so far. He's got a couple ground balls, and he's shown some good off speed. The problem is when you leave that off speed up, these guys have have crushed him, just taking line drives out to the outfield.
The 1-0. And that one is in for a strike.
Yep, trying to pitch very carefully here as he gets a 1-1 count, trying to keep things on the edges and not really give anything too meaty to these Brewster hitters.
Dodd did not get the start in yesterday's game. And he's way out in front of a nice changeup from Tobin, and that'll make the count now 1-2. Gentry on third, Jesse Franklin on first, 2 home in the inning for Brewster as they lead it 3-0 here at Stony Brook Field. Here's the 1-2, and it is flared out towards center field. Marshak coming in, makes the catch, and that will end the inning. So Brewster picks up a couple more runs. They now lead it 3-0. We're through 3 innings from Stony Brook Field, and we'll have another special guest coming on in just a moment. You're listening to Harwich Mariners Radio Network.
Community events, another year.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Stony Brook Park. Tyler Henry. I will be joined by the longest tenured member of the Brewster Whitecaps media team, 3-year veteran writer, Koki Riley, and then, of course, our very own Alex Weiner. So the all-ASU takeover of the media crew here today, and actually going to be turning play-by-play duties over to Koki for the remainder of this half inning.
All right, thank you, Tyler. Mason Black coming up to the mound for his 4th inning of the start. There's a lot of debate over whether Black was going to start yesterday's game.
That was the thought.
That's the thought.
We assumed, but.
And Black's pitch is swinging for a strike.
Yeah, and really, I mean, you got to think in a do-or-die game with a guy like Mason Black, it's very curious that they didn't try to get the win they needed yesterday and then try to figure it out today if it came down to that. But one way or another, they did not, and that's how it ended up.
Noise is at the plate for Harwich. Played much better recently.
Certainly
I
has.
know. Yes.
Yeah, he had a big 2-home run game, and I think that really kind of gave him a little bit more momentum.
Black's pitch is just a bit outside for a ball. Count runs up to 1-2.
Koki, I will say, for as tough as it's been the last couple days for Brewster, it does look like they're having a lot of fun out here today.
Oh yes, they have this team does have a ton of fun. You saw earlier with Brett Auerbach with the turtle floaty. Now the turtle floaty is with the Brewster Whitecaps dugout.
Yep.
Yeah, I guess they transferred the turtle back over, so Harwich's rally turtle is no more.
And Carson Coleman's playing around with the ground ball. Comes up the middle. Locklear makes a nice play. Throw over first for the first out of the inning.
So tell us a little bit more about the rally turtle. How did that start? Is that something that's just come around this year?
This turtle, I have not seen this turtle once this year.
Okay.
To be honest. So when Auerbach started running out with it last inning, everyone in our press box was like, "What's going on right now? Like, why does Brett Auerbach have a turtle floating?" We knew he was going to be the first base coach today. He convinced coach of getting that spot since Brewster season is over after tomorrow. But the floaty's definitely a curveball for sure.
Fair enough. Daniel Cabrera here has fallen behind 0-2, as Mason Black certainly not showing any signs of letting off any steam here.
No, Black he's a competitor. He's always going to come out there and do his best on the mound. And that's a ground ball through the diving hole at first base. Collette with a good effort there. And that's a base hit for Cabrera.
Yep, the Bayou Banger, as he is affectionately known. And Alex, Coach Engler just loved his nicknames all season long. What are a few of your favorites? Because I know I have my favorites.
Oh, my favorites?
Yes, your favorites.
I do like Bayou Banger.
Bayou Banger is one of the best nicknames on this Harwich team.
Cincinnati Psycho, which is Joey Weimer, was great. Also, Joey Weimer introduced himself as Steve to somebody today.
Okay. I like it.
One of the new guys, and then Chris Gallen corrected him.
Yeah, the first pitch to Lanzilli is foul, out of play.
I think some of my favorites are Joe Boyle, better known as Irish Thunder.
That's a good one. It's a very
and
good one.
You've also got Connor McCullough, better known as Mac Daddy.
I like Carson Seymour's, though. Big Ears is probably
Big
one of
Ears
my
is a
favorites.
very good one.
Big
yes.
So does he actually have big ears?
He
pretty
kind of
decently
does.
sized ears.
He has relatively good sized
Okay.
ears.
Okay.
We have a new one today, Bomb Zilly.
Yep.
Is Chris Lanzilli, who's
And-
now the batter.
And why not? He had a 3 home run day yesterday
Yes.
in game 1. He had 18 consecutive at-bats without being retired.
I have not heard of a streak like that on the Cape League in my 3 years here. 18 straight. It's unbelievable.
18 straight.
Well,
That
Brewster,
just-
Brewster can't quite turn the double play there, as I believe Dodd's throw was a bit low.
Yeah, it was a high
Now
chopper
batting
to
the
the
designated
shortstop
hitter
there, and
from
Lanzilli's able to
Connecticut,
get on first. So
number 21.
brings up
Christian
FedEx
Yep.
or
Fedko.
Christian Fedko.
And the thing you love about having FedEx in there is that, you know, when it comes down to the high pressure situations, as long as it's within 48 hours, he will deliver.
That was really bad.
And it's not my worst of the season. It's fine.
I knew you were going somewhere with that. I knew it was something like that. I expected a little bit better, though.
Black on the set. Pitch, and that's a high fly ball in the center field. Looks like Ellis will drift under it and make the catch for the final out of the frame. So that's
Our
4
next
scoreless for
Team award
Mason
to
Black,
hand out goes to
as
our
it
defensive
is
player
3-0
of
Brewster
the year.
through
Throughout the
3.5.
2019
Yep, and we'll keep it right
season,
here. Let's talk a little bit
player
about
appeared
the,
in all 42
I guess
games
some
for
people are calling it the ASU
313
takeover on the
innings,
Cape. And the
league
only
highs for
reason I want to bring this
all
up is because
outfielders.
Syracuse,
Not
I believe your first year,
third
Koki,
highest in the league.
Syracuse was pretty
And
much
he
dominating
led
the media
CCPL
interns,
with
but it's kind of
6
shifted a little bit,
assists.
hasn't it?
Yes,
From the
we're
Crimson Tide of
really
Alabama, number
pulling ourselves
28,
up
Tyler
really
Gentry.
promoting the squad, I guess.
Sure enough,
So to
that's,
say.
Arizona State had 14 different media interns this
Yep.
year across the Cape, and hopefully that number will rise. So, you know, it's been good to see a couple of different schools getting in. Newhouse's stock going down a little bit here. But, of course, your very own Frankie Vernowski is from the University of
Yes,
Syracuse,
yes.
broadcaster for the Brewster Whitecaps.
Yeah.
And speaking of Brewster Whitecaps media interns, wanted to get into this. Your PA announcer is a bit of a legend, Chris Lynch, here at Brewster. And tell us a little bit about what makes him so special and just how long he's been here and the work he's done.
Chris Lynch has been here for, I would say, at least since 2012, because he does like to mention the fact that he was part of the Bristol Whitecaps organization when Aaron Judge was here.
Okay.
So, and he's had a numerous amount of roles. I believe he was game manager at one point, and he was definitely the writer before I was as well. And
Did he give you
this
any
is-
pointers?
I don't remember him giving me a ton of pointers when I first came here, but now he is the PA announcer. This is his
Leading
first
off
year.
the designated hitter
and
from
he's doing a
Stanford,
doing a
number
very good job.
17,
Fair enough.
Christian
He also sang the
Malfetta.
Star Spangled Banner, too.
He
Yes, he
did,
did.
yes.
Yes, he did.
One of the only PA announcers in the league who also doubles as a national anthem singer. So
I believe he's the only one, isn't he?
I think he's the only one, yeah.
Yeah,
So
I
showing
imagine
off
so.
the showing off
Yes.
the range here as Christian Malfetta stands in. First pitch he sees is a ball right around the knees and down in the dirt. So Christian Malfetta's been around longer than anybody else, even longer than you. He's
No,
been
he's
here
been
for 4 years.
Well, he's been on the Cape for 4 years, but he's been with Brewster for 3. So.
Okay. And where was he? Was it his first season that he wasn't with the Whitecaps?
Yes, it was with Hyannis, 4 games.
Okay.
4 games with Hyannis 4 years ago.
He
3
found
years
his way.
ago.
He did find his way out and
Yes.
onto a better situation here. As the 1-1 pitch is going to miss in the dirt once again for ball 2.
Yeah, he got a championship in his days here. He's
Not bad.
The lone guy who got that ring.
Now, Cookie, I have to
Yes.
ask, did they give you a ring?
They did not give me a ring.
Darn.
I had to pay for it.
Okay.
I wasn't going to pay for it. But it was still a cool experience, though.
Did you get a
Absolutely.
hat?
I got a card, a thank you card. We couldn't have done it without you, sort of card. It was
Okay.
like, you
They
know,
couldn't
It
have.
was nice. It was
They-
nice.
There's no way they would have won the championship 2011
Yes.
without the talents of Koki Riley on the writing staff.
2017.
2017,
Cookie's
sorry.
not that old. I know he looks old, but he's not that old.
You're right. He's Koki Riley is the Perry Ellis of Brewster Whitecaps media interns. As the 3-2 from Greg Tobin is on its way, and that one's going to be roped into the 5-hole. That's going to get past the outstretched glove of Tirada for a base knock.
Yeah, caught too much of the plate on an inside fastball, and just Malfetta doing a good job keeping his hands inside and really just driving that one through the hole
Now
there. There's
batting,
no way
the
Tirada had a chance
catcher.
at that.
One of the Terrapins from Maryland.
So here
number
comes
43,
Justin Vogt, a guy who I believe has not started a game against Harwich yet this year. Vogt's
He started the first game against Chatham.
against Chatham yesterday.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yes.
Vogt was one of the guys that, again, Harwich has not seen extensive amounts against. And the first pitch he sees will miss up around the letters for ball 1.
To be fair, Tobin isn't somebody that anybody in the Cape has really seen extensively.
Well, I meant
this
that.
year
I meant
either.
that Vogt. Yeah, true, very true. So a couple of guys that have not seen each other, and Tobin's looked pretty good through his first couple innings. This ball is skied high in the air. That should stay on the infield. Tobin settles under it, and it'll be called off by Terada, who comes streaking in from his spot at third base to make the catch. A little miscommunication there.
No, he called for a ball at the last moment there. You never want your pitcher to be able to be the one fielding that. Terada had a good angle on it as long as he ran up and got there in time, and he did.
So here comes Cameron Locklear, and another guy that Harwich hasn't seen a ton of this year. Koki, what makes Cameron Locklear so special?
Well, he is a defensive-minded player.
Okay.
He's certainly known for his glove, cat of Liberty, and you know we haven't seen him get a ton of at-bats to the Whitecaps as that pitch is low.
So while we got you for a few more outs, what have been your favorite stories over the course of maybe not even just this summer, but the 3 years you've been with the Brewster Whitecaps? What have been kind of your highlights and some of the funnier experiences you've had with or without players?
Funnier experiences. Well, I'd say this year this has been one of the more animated groups off the field. And there was, at one point, as Tobin throws over the first, that Duke Ellis, the Brewster Whitecaps center fielder, he found a dead rabbit before a game, I believe, mid-early June.
Okay.
And he started, as that pitch is a ball, he started rubbing the dead bunny's paws onto the bats of the players.
For good luck.
For good luck.
Okay.
But the Whitecaps ended up losing their next 4 games, so it didn't quite work out.
So rubbing dead animals on your bats doesn't give you good juju?
You know, it's only if you're supposed to just rub just the paw. You're not
Just
supposed to
the
rub
paw.
the whole rabbit on the bat.
Just on the bats, and then after that was done, the bullpen guys buried the rabbit in the bullpen.
Okay.
And they named it Johnny the Jackrabbit, and it's the in quotations as the nickname.
Okay.
You know, and you know how at the bottom of the tombstone there's like a message, right? And at the bottom of the message was, "Hop on, brother."
Hop on, brother.
Hop on, brother.
That
yes.
was great.
And then they dug it up. They actually buried the bunny in the bullpen, and they dug it up after the 4-game losing streak. They threw it into the woods, and then with the cross, by the way, that's a heck of a play by, I believe, Connor Shamblin. Wow. There's a bounding ground ball, just an interruption from our story a little bit, but bounding ground ball from Cam Locklear, and I believe Shamblin made a one-handed grab.
He did. He had to reach over
the
the
dugout.
Wow. That was impressive.
2-2 misses for a ball, so they threw the rabbit into the woods.
Yes, and then they won the next game.
Well, there you go. So it was the curse.
Yes,
You know, they
I
had to
guess
get rid of
so.
the rabbit. So you're
Johnny
telling me
was
that
cursed.
yes, Johnny was
a
cursed.
cursed rabbit.
Yes, I guess Johnny the Jackrabbit was cursed.
It's a shame. Here comes the payoff pitch. That one's going to be railed down the line, and that will get down in left field, rolling all the way into the corner. It'll be picked up by Cabrera, and they're going to go ahead and send the runner. He's coming across, and he will score without a throw as another Brewster run comes across to score. It's going to be a 4-0 lead for the Whitecaps here in the 4th.
That was clobbered. That was hard. Again, Tobin is doing a pretty good job of mixing his speeds and trying to, like, you know, but location is a major thing for a guy who doesn't have the velocity like Tobin really doesn't have.
Yeah,
so
we really
you know, just caught a bit too much of the plate there, and when you lose that location, it could get drilled, and that one did.
We really talked about it. Greg Tobin's really a crafty lefty who's going to rely on a lot of stuff.
That was very cliched, Tyler.
It's more stuff than heat. So, you know, he does have a pretty decent fastball, but not too much velocity on it. His next pitch will miss outside to Duke Ellis, and Duke Ellis might be, Koki Riley, the most interesting player on this roster for Brewster.
Yes, he's very vocal. Every time the Whitecaps get their first hit, he yells out, "Nobody no-hits the Caps." Every single time. And he's been with the Whitecaps for, I'd say, about a month, and he's been by far their most vocal player from day one. And he's certainly a personality for sure.
Here he pops one up, and Terada, it looked like he went over and got that. So he goes over to foul territory right next to the fans, makes the catch, and then gives a high five to somebody over there in the crowd.
And we have a ASU, not just an ASU trifecta, but there's now the hitter?
Of course,
Gage
yes.
Quartets,
Workman?
yes.
Yes,
Yep.
quartets. That's the word I was looking for.
Should we start a barbershop quartet
I think we
with
should
us four?
with Gage
Yes.
Workman.
Yes.
I'm down.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Is Gage Workman the bass or the tenor in a barbershop quartet?
You have to be the bass.
Okay, so
Yeah.
he's the tenor.
He's definitely.
Does that make Koki the soprano as he swings through this for strike one?
Good breaking ball there. Koki could be the soprano.
Sure. Why
Okay.
not? Right? Yeah.
So that leaves you as the what is that other thing called?
I don't know. I couldn't even think of soprano, to be perfectly honest.
Okay.
with
Yeah.
It's fair. Not a lot of musical experience for these two.
you. Hey,
Gage
middle school
Workman.
band. I had middle school band.
What did you play in middle school band, Alex?
I was a clarinet player.
You were a clarinet player. So
I
Workman
was.
swings through that for strike two. Really?
I was.
Really, I can't imagine. you
I
as a
couldn't
clarinet.
either.
Yeah.
Guess what I did in high school band?
What did you do in high school band, Koki?
The baritone.
See, now that is almost equally surprising,
That
but
is
just as
that is
funny.
pretty surprising.
Yeah, it's like this. It's like a big trumpet.
I played
but
the
like
trumpet.
smaller than a tuba.
Fair enough. I played the trumpet in a high school band as Sean Harrington with a good block, and the count goes 1 and 2. So some musical experience
Yeah, we
between
got
the
some
three
music
of
here.
us.
See,
Any,
we're brass buddies then.
we are brass
Well,
buddies.
yeah,
Yeah,
there
none
we
of this
go. The
woodwind
brass family.
garbage over here with
Exactly.
Alex and his little clarinet.
Hey, whenever I squeaked, people would call me Squidward.
Is that actually? Are you serious?
My friends would.
Oh my goodness.
With a 1-2 count, Greg Tobin comes set, brings the pitch home, and getting just enough of that to stay alive is Gage Workman, the All-Star MVP. Koki Riley, of course, he had an excellent day, but he wasn't the only one as the Whitecaps really shined the brightest at the All-Star festivities at Eldridge Park.
Yeah, the Brewster Whitecaps won the All-Star game.
They did.
Yeah.
If a team could win the All-Star game, we got first. So the Brewster Whitecaps got first place in the home run derby, second place in the home run derby. The walk-off hit from Brett Auerbach, the MVP from Gage Workman, and then Mason Black, the starting pitcher, scoreless first inning, and then Matthew Mikulski in relief, scoreless inning as well.
Of course. So Workman swings through that one. It's going to be another strikeout for Greg Tobin, and that will retire the fourth. We go to the fifth inning, a 4-0 lead for the Brewster Whitecaps. Koki, thank you once again for joining us. We've loved having you on, and
Thank you, Tyler.
enjoy the rest of your season.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
We will come right back on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network.
And welcome back. It's Alex Weiner still on the mic here. I'll take over play-by-play duties for this half inning at least. Tyler Henry's on the microphone.
Yep.
Got Colin Casey back here on the air, and that was fun, kind of catching up ASU, kind of that whole kind of cult here that's now in a part of the Cape Cod League.
Yeah, it's become more and more of a cult over the course of the last couple of years, especially this year. So, Colin, I hope you don't feel too outnumbered here.
No, not at all.
Which means he's got to do better recruiting for UMass.
Right, right.
So Corey Acton, the second baseman from Florida, will stand in to lead off here at the top of the fifth inning. Score is 4-0. Brewster leads as Mason Black is on the hill for the Whitecaps. His first pitch is a fastball that's low in the dirt. Mason Black, who again we keep scratching our heads about why he wasn't starting yesterday, has looked very good today. I mean, he's been very good pretty much the entirety of the season. 4 shutout innings for him as his next delivery is in. It's another fastball driven out to deep left field, but it's hooking, and that will drop in foul ground. I think it did have enough distance, though, to get out just a little bit to the left of the pole.
And I think it just shows how much opposite field power that Corey Acton has. He's got 2 opposite field home runs on the season. That ball was completely crushed down the line. It missed fair territory by about, I would say, 7 to 8 feet, but another just great display of power from the third baseman out of University of Florida.
Acton stands in. Next pitch from Black is another fastball. Good job by Acton to get his hands in there and foul it away. But Mason Black has control of this at-bat. 1-2 the count. And Jack has
I was
has
gonna
a closer.
Yeah, we're gonna have an update on that here in just a moment.
Next pitch is a fastball inside to Acton.
So
Counts 2-2.
So Jack, you've got a concoction from the concession stand. Tell me a little bit about this thing.
So we all know at every ballpark there's some kind of specialty. Well, Brewster's Whitecap specialty is called the close-up. It's like a vanilla ice cream sandwich between two donuts that were grilled with rainbow sprinkles. It's kind of like the donut burger we see at YD.
And with a 3-2 count, Jack, tell me how important the rainbow sprinkles are as opposed to regular sprinkles.
Makes all the difference in the world, let me tell you. It's just so much better.
You heard it here first.
Ice cream sandwich with donuts. That's not bad.
That's not a bad idea.
one.
I may have to slide down and get one of those myself.
Acton fouls the next pitch off, so the count is still full. Riley Terada is standing on deck. So let's see if Corey Acton can get on base here. Yeah, the rainbow sprinkles, it makes it more festive, too. It really does.
Gives a real summer vibe to it.
Oh, yeah. Get an ice cream cone, or you can get a donut ice cream sandwich. Next pitch, driven out to deep left center field. That one will get down in front of the center fielder Duke Ellis, and Corey Acton's aboard with a base hit.
Yep, just continues to swing a hot bat. Again, he cannot be denied here throughout the course of the last couple of weeks, and hopefully that continues throughout the month of August as Harwich goes into their playoff push.
Yep, Gata is hot for sure, and so that'll bring up Riley Terada. Terada standing in. He, so far, Tyler's scorebook is on the wrong day.
Well, that's because the wind blew it over and you didn't change it, silly.
Well, I didn't notice. He's 0 for 1 with a strikeout looking. Mason Black's going to throw over to first base initially, and then he's going to look in for Riley Terada. So here comes the pitch from Black. It is fouled over to the right side. Got jammed just a little bit. The count is 0-1.
And one really interesting storyline that should be to follow is exactly who's going to be the starter 2 days from now in Game 1 of the series, whether it be at Orleans or Chatham. It seems like the logical choice would be a well-rested Connor McCullough.
Black now will throw over once again to first base. Yeah, that would seem to make the most sense. And then obviously, me and Tyler talk about pregame with the day off tomorrow, and then you have McCullough to throw to in Game 1. Maybe you can polish the rest necessary to maybe be ready for potentially a Game 3. Next pitch is fouled off to the right once again by Terada, who's getting jammed quite a bit here in this at-bat.
Yeah, and the best case scenario would be McCullough winning that Game 1, because then you don't have to feel the pressure to send out Polish to clinch a first-round series. You can kind of have a little more flexibility if you win that first game and save a guy like Polish for Game 3, maybe send out Connor Seckler for Game 2.
Yeah, that could be a good idea. Seckler has been very good all season. He's had one little blip, but other than that, he's been pretty remarkable too. Next pitch fouled back to the screen. Seckler would be interesting. The last time Seckler pitched, Jared Weatherby was in there as an opener, so maybe that's, another little wrinkle in this. If they play Chatham again,
right.
Maybe they'll use an opener all 3 games. Maybe Chatham will throw out a position player for 1 pitch and then bring in somebody else to come into the game. It'll be petty wars for sure. Here comes the next pitch. Is fouled over to the left.
Yeah, the last 2 times Connor Seckler's come into a game, both have been in relief as he came in to get the 9th inning of play earlier before taking a quick break, and then when he came back, the Weatherby opener used. So again, you mentioned with Chatham and Harwich, those lineups will probably be official sometime between the warm-up pitches from the starting pitcher out in the field and then the first official pitch.
So Terada stands in as Black's going to throw over once again to Acton. Very worried about Acton's speed over at first base.
And it would be really important also for McCullough to get a good start in Game 1 if he were to go, because you don't really want to waste Will Heflin in Game 1 because he's still recovering after making his first start of the season, going 5 innings a few days ago against Chatham.
Yeah, it's a great point as Black stands in. Next pitch, breaking ball in the dirt, good block by Vogt.
And Alex, you're the nature guy, so you talk about the speed of Gata over there on first base and Corey Acton. How fast are Gators, and should Brewster be concerned with one on first base?
Alligators are faster than you'd think. So yeah, he could have some sneaky speed over there. Maybe scaring them with some hissing noises or something like that.
Okay.
As long as he sees a fish in front of him, he can go pretty quickly. Next pitch is in the dirt. Terada will check his swing, but the first base umpire is going to say that he went around, and so that'll be the second strikeout of the day for Riley Terada, and that'll bring up Mike Ludwig.
One thing I think they say with alligators, if you're ever caught with one, you have to run like diagonally to throw off its
they're not great at
movement.
They're not great at the cone drill. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're not, they can have a decent 40 time, but the cones not going to get them drafted.
Now, are they faster or slower than crocodiles?
I mean, there's so many variations of both. It's hard to like say so generally. His first pitch is fouled off to the left side. Because like you have saltwater crocodiles, Nile crocodiles, South American crocodiles, and then alligators. Are also found in a lot of different places. And then you bring caimans and gharials into the mix, and it's just too much of a hodgepodge there. It's really tough to tell. Nason Black looks over to first, and is going to deliver, and Mike Ludwig will swing right through the fastball.
If you take away anything from this broadcast, just know that if you encounter a crocodile, just run like a post route, like you're Marvin Harrison or something.
Maybe a little comebacker, and then kind of go out, something like that.
Quick Snack Shack update. Our very own Jack Bellinger has finished the closer. Jack, now that you've had the full product, how was it?
It was 10 out of 10. The ice cream was perfect. Definitely when you eat on a hot day. Donuts just added extra sweetness to it. It was perfect.
You heard it here first.
Next pitch, the fastball inside. Now, Jack, I do want to ask you. You said they grilled the donut. How did that, end up tasting?
Honestly, I didn't really taste the grilling too much. I think it was just so that way the ice cream didn't soak into the donuts. That way they stayed separated, which I think is definitely a good call.
Yeah, it's a good move. Next pitch is outside for a ball, too.
We've got a quick nature update, actually, a fact check from our very own Matt Lucy. So, Matt, go ahead and give us what you found.
According to Owlcation, alligators can reach a speed of 11 miles an hour, while crocodiles can reach 9 miles an hour.
Okay, so the alligator.
On land, of course.
Next pitch is a breaking ball in the dirt, and the count is evened up at 3-2. So, yeah, there you go. Corey Acton at first base. Gaeta, he can reach 11 miles an hour, which doesn't seem much, but it is sneaky speed, especially for, such short legs and a long tail.
Yep, of course.
Yes.
I feel like you should be able to outrun that at least at 11 miles an hour. So
a fit person should be able to do that, yeah. Here comes the next pitch from Black. It's another breaking ball. This one is in the dirt, and Ludwig does his best to hold off. He will reach board with a walk, and so with 2 on and 1 out, it'll bring up Sean Harrington.
Now batting
the new catcher is 1 for 1 with a single, and so he has a big opportunity to potentially drive in his first Mariner run.
And talked a little bit about this here. We mentioned a very aggressive-looking stance that Sean Harrington has. It's really unlike anything I've seen in the Cape League this year. He's down relatively low, waving the bat above his head, and continually taking secondary steps. He's ready to go.
Oh yeah, he's a lot of torque built up. A lot of springing motions here in his legs. First pitch, this one will be driven to deep left field, although it will be caught without much movement there by Franklin, who moved over to his left a little bit. So now 2 on, 2 outs, and brings up the top of the order, and that is Max Marshak, or Max Mashok at YD.
Speaking of YD, then now that I saw Jack eating the closer behind me, maybe kind of want to go back to YD, so I wouldn't mind facing them in the playoffs and having to go back and get myself another donut burger.
You were a fan of the donut burger?
Yeah, I was, actually.
Which one did you have?
I had a glazed one.
Okay, so you got to go with the Boston cream. It's a bold move, but
that
it does
sounds
work.
terrible.
It does sound terrible as this ball is...
Pitch is driven out to right field, I believe. That's actually going to be a fair ball down the line. The first base umpire called that a fair ball. Corey Acton will score.
And it's out of play.
Yep.
So it bounces in fair territory. The run will score, but then it goes past that secondary line, and that will be an extra base for everybody involved. Second and third for the M's here.
Yeah, it just kind of stayed fair. The wind is blowing towards left field, so maybe that helped it out a little bit. As Max Marshak has himself a double and an RBI, and now Dylan Noisy, his running mate at Texas Tech, has an opportunity to drive in a couple more, get them back in the ball game.
And of course, we know the M's not the name that they refer. It's actually the Nurs.
No, it's the Nurs. They say "Go Nurs" a lot, and so that's kind of the nickname that they've taken.
Quick note on Max Marshak. That was actually his first extra base hit of the season.
So here comes Dylan Noisy, looking to drive in Marshak after he finally delivers his first extra base hit. Marshak all season long has struggled a little bit at the plate, but once he gets on base, he's been an absolute menace, and that is really what his role will be likely in the playoffs, as a guy who's going to come in, pinch run, and really do some damage on the base paths. But it's good to see him get a hold of one and yank one down the line like that. Here comes the next pitch to Noisy. It's a breaking ball away, and the count is 1-1.
And that's really a good tool to have in the back pocket for Coach Engler, because again, you get in a late game situation, Nico Cavadas or somebody like that finds his way on, he's not going to have another at bat. You just turn on the Jets and put Marshak in there. The next thing you know is standing on third base, ready to be driven in.
A bit noisy. Next pitch he sees, fastball fouled directly back towards the screen, so good timing, just got a little bit underneath it. This count is still 1-2.
And Marshak also gives you above average defense, so if you had to, you can certainly keep him in the ball game in those late innings, and he should be able to gun down any runners to the plate. We know the arm that Marshak definitely has out there in center field.
Yeah, and he has unbelievable range. Like there are a few balls hit his way that I thought were gappers and were easy doubles. Next pitch is a fastball to Dylan Noisy on the outside corner for strike 3, and that will end the inning. So, Harwich gets the 1 run back, but they still trail by 3. 4-1 is the score here at Stony Brook, and you are listening to it on the Harwich Radio Network.
Versatility and offensive prowess all.
The bottom of the 5th. Welcome back to Brewster. We have a brand new pitcher in the ball game for the Harwich Mariners making his debut.
The new pitcher on the hill
is John Tien,
number 11
from Massachusetts
Dedham,
Maritime
Massachusetts.
Academy.
And the
From
Massachusetts
Dedham,
Maritime Academy,
Massachusetts.
John
He
Tien.
was a senior, or he was a rising junior in his class. So, interesting opportunity for him here to get his first kind of look here as a Harwich Mariner.
Yeah, and Dedham right here, or Dedham not too far off the Cape, and Mass Maritime right here in the Cape Cod area. So Tien gets an opportunity, the right-hander, 5'10", 185, a rising junior, and let's see what he's got. He'll have a big test here facing the 3, 4, and 5 hitters to lead things off.
Yeah, TJ Collette is not an easy task to first base, but let's see what Tien has in store. Mass Maritime Academy, isn't that in kind of the Bourne area?
I believe so. I'll have to ask our producer, Matt Lucy.
Tien's first pitch is a fastball that is hit high in the sky, but over towards the stands in left field. That'll become a souvenir. As Matt gets on where exactly it is.
Mass Maritime is kind of like right off Cape, close to Buzzards Bay in the Wareham area.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Next pitch from Tien is a breaking ball outside corner, good location. The count is 0-2 to TJ Collette, so how about that?
Yeah, Collette has kind of had a mixed bag of a day today. He had the strikeout in the first and then the single and the run scored in the third.
Comes the next pitch from Tien. It is a breaking ball in the dirt. Collette checks his swing, and so that'll be the first ball. But again, a good 2-strike pitch for Tien. He's looked pretty impressive through 3 pitches.
He certainly has, obviously a small sample size so far, but this will be a big test against some of the better hitters in this Brewster lineup.
Tien looks, delivers, another breaking ball fouled off by Collette. A bit off balance here in this at-bat. TJ Collette on the day is 1 for 2 with a strikeout and a base knock. So he stands in. He's also a competitor with Nico Cavadas as far as for the home run title. So the next pitch is swung on and missed, so Tien helping Cavadas in that regard as Collette is down on strikes.
Yeah, both Cavadas and Collette tied with 9 home runs the entire CCVL. Tyler Hartman, actually,
28,
Collette's teammate, is not too far behind with 8 home runs on the season. So a lot of power mixed around in these 2 lineups.
Tien now has to face Tyler Gentry, and his first pitch is a bit wild. landed about 10 feet in front of the plate and skips to the backstop, so try to forget about that one. As Gentry comes in, he's 0 for 2. He reached on an error, though, in his last at-bat. Next pitch is chopped over to the left side. Terada makes a nice play. Double clutches and throws on to first for the out. And so 2 quick outs here for Tian. And now we'll bring up the left fielder, Jesse Franklin.
Number 7.
Busy day today in the MLB circuit, as of course trade deadline day just passed right before this game started at 4 o'clock. And I think the big trade, of course, being Zach Greinke being dealt to the Houston Astros as they try to make a push for their second World Series in 3 years.
It wasn't Mike Leake going to the Diamondbacks?
That's true. That's another huge one as well.
First pitch from Tian to Gentry is skied over to the left side. Cabrera, like he's going to get under it, but unable to get there in time as it lands in foul ground. And the count is now 0-1. But yeah, no, Zach Greinke going to the Astros, a team who was trying to get that chip. They needed a big rotation piece, and my goodness, they got it.
And meanwhile, teams like the Red Sox, Yankees not helping out their holes. Of course, the Red Sox with some glaring holes in the bullpen. The Yankees in their starting rotation.
Next pitch is a breaking ball outside. Yeah, but the Yankees was very shocking that they didn't really make a big splash. Stroman goes to the Mets for a price that a lot of people thought was reachable, especially if you have the Yankees assets, but they weren't able to do it. Next pitch is chopped over to the right side. Acton goes over to his left, makes the play, throws on to first, and that'll do it for us here in the 5th. Brewster leads 4-1 here at Stony Brook.
We appreciate and thank the
you were
sponsors
listening
who
to
support
Harwich
the
Baseball
Cape
on the
League
Mariners
and
Radio
our 10
Network.
teams. Our corporate sponsors of
Folks, now throwing on the hill for the Whitecaps.
Welcome back, Stony Brook Field.
From
A new
Maryland,
pitcher to tell you
number
about here in the
23,
top of the 6th inning as Maryland
Fisher.
Terrapin Sean Fisher will get an opportunity. The left-hander has been pretty rock solid out of the pen this season for the Brewster Whitecaps, owning a 1.92 ERA, and he has been a real force at the back end of the bullpen, Tyler.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the better guys in the bullpen, and he'll look to kind of get things or continue things the way he's been doing. Continue doing things the way he's been doing them all year by finding a couple of quick outs here. So here as we go to the 6th inning, Harwich still trailing to 4-1, but they get a run back during the course of the last inning, and trying to find a few more here, maybe go out on top, and maybe go out above 500, which would be even bigger for them. So here is it'll be Daniel Cabrera to lead things off in the inning. Trying to get my bearings after taking over as team photographer for a half inning, but everything's pretty much back to normal here, I think. Crowd mic used as just that, and Tyler Henry and Colin Casey bringing you coverage of baseball here on the Cape Cod Baseball Network. Once again, I want to say thank you for tuning in all season long. We've had an absolute blast, and we hope you've enjoyed watching these games as much as we've enjoyed broadcasting. And of course, the season not over yet, as there will be playoff action starting in 2 days.
LSU, number 4, Daniel
For the time
Cabrera.
being, it'll be Daniel Cabrera to lead things off in the inning. Harwich down 4-1 here in the 6th. Here comes the first pitch, and that'll be swung through and missed for strike 1.
And of course, season not over for some teams in that the East playoff picture, seeds 1 through 3, still have to be determined over the next 2 days. As that breaking ball just misses outside.
So the 1-1 count. See what Sean Fisher has in store here. He The 1-1 will miss low and inside, and the count goes 2-1 here on Daniel Cabrera.
Cabrera expected to be one of the top prospects in next year's MLB draft. He was taken out of high school in the late rounds by the San Diego Padres.
2-1's in there for a strike, and he's certainly helped his draft stock this year, as we talked about some of what he's been able to accomplish this season as a Harwich Mariner. So far this year, this is a Daniel Cabrera who has an OPS of 785, a slugging percentage of 409, and here he will chop one foul off his foot for another, or to keep the count 2-2.
So far, 4 runs on 7 hits for the Whitecaps compared to just the 1 run on 4 hits in error for the Mariners.
So Fisher's ready here for another 2-2 pitch from the windup. Here it comes. And that'll be fouled away as Daniel Cabrera continues to fight off pitches.
We know Cabrera this year has been really tough against left-handed pitching. That's one of the benefits of guys like him in the league, being able to hit any pitcher that an opposing manager throws at them.
Yep, doesn't really seem to matter who they have had on the other side, as here he will reach out and line this one to second. It's picked up. The throw on to first from Mason Dodds in time for the first out of the inning.
And that's kind of been the MO with a lot of the best hitters in the entire Cape League. You look at Austin Wells, who's been a consistent hitter for the YD Red Sox. He gets it done against both sides of the plate. Another guy you can think of course, in that YD lineup is Wyatt Young, the batting leader for most of the year.
Yep, and a couple of guys Harwich may or may not see in the postseason is, while YD has not locked up the 3 seed, they will for sure be either the 3 or the 2. So the Mariners will not see the YD Red Sox during round 1 of postseason play. It'll be Chatham or Orleans. The seeds are all set out in the west as the 1-0 pitch is going to be taken right at the shortstop. It'll be picked up by Locklear, who fires on to first in time to retire Chris Lanzilli. But as I was saying, the Western Playoff Division seeds are set. Falmouth gets the 1 seed. They will play Bourne. Wareham will get the 2 seed. They will play Katuitt.
Of course, the higher seeds in both of those matchups will host games 1 and 3, with game 2 going to the lower seed.
Yep, and that'll be the case all season long. The one upside, of course, if you are coming out of the East, most teams in the East have a better record than in the West. So playoff seeding throughout the championship game will be heavily dictated based on regular season record. Of course, the one exception to that rule is the Falmouth Commodores, who have just come out of nowhere as the first pitch misses inside to Christian Fetko. They've been tearing it up after the 11-game winning streak and currently have a record of 26-13-2. The 1-0 to Fetko. That one's going to be nailed through the right side, and that'll get down for a base hit. So with 2 away, Christian Fetko finds his way on here for Corey Acton.
Yeah, and going back to the Falmouth Commodores, Mariners have had a lot of success against the Commodores at home. They swept a doubleheader against them, but on the road it's been a different story. So that's one of those teams where it's kind of depend on having that home field advantage. And as of right now, I think the Commodores have the higher points in terms of the Mariners this season. So if those two were to meet in the championship, Falmouth would have home field advantage over at the Gov.
Falmouth actually has more points than anybody in the entire CCBL by a wide margin, as the Chatham Anglers with 48 aren't even close to Falmouth's 54. First pitch to Acton, gets in there for a strike.
As far as the other teams in the West, Katuitt, Mariners took 3 out of 4 against them, but lost 3 out of 4 to Bourne and swept the Wareham Gatemen 4-0 on the year.
Yeah, with the way Katuitt's been playing lately, I don't know many people delusional enough to think that they're the favorites, as a runner takes off for second, and that's going to put Christian Fetko in scoring position here with 2 away, and a 1-1 count to Corey Acton.
Yeah, Katuitt was a team that looked really dangerous at the plate. They led the entire league in home runs for first 3 weeks of the season or so, and kind of cooled off at the plate. They still have, obviously, Nick Gonzalez, one of the best hitters in the entire league, but they'll be a team where they're really going to need to get a lot of their starting pitching, which is what they really haven't gotten over the last few weeks.
And we'll see whether or not that improves, as teams without great pitching staffs have not thrived this year, with the exception of maybe YD. 1-1 pitch is in there for a strike, and the count goes 1-2 here on Corey Acton.
Yeah, in the other way around, it seems like you can get away with, as Harwich had done for most of the year. They've started to pick things up, of course, and Chatham has really done all year long, relied solely on pitching while getting minimal help on offense.
I mean, that's the thing. You can't lose baseball games if you're not giving up any runs. Here comes the 1-2 pitch, and that'll be fouled off the inner leg of Corey Acton. Takes a minute to shake things off here. But Gators are tough. He should be fine. Has a brief word with Vogt behind the plate. And he'll face another 1-2 count here with Christian Fetko standing on second base. Last regular season game of the Harwich Mariners season. A day off tomorrow and then right back at it for postseason play after that. Sean Fisher on the bump for the Brewster Whitecaps. He comes set. Looks the runner back to second, the 1-2 pitch. And that'll miss outside. Count goes 2-2.
As far as this series goes, Harwich comes in leading 3-2 on the season series, but Brewster has a chance if they can hold on to this lead to even the series on the year 3-3.
So with a 2-2 count, Brewster looking to continue a 3-run lead here. They've out-hit Harwich 7-5. Here comes the 2-2 pitch. And that'll just miss to make the count full here on Acton.
And there's no question about it that the one team that the Mariners would prefer not to face, especially in the East, is the Orleans Firebirds, going 5-1 against Harwich this season. It hasn't mattered whether it be at Eldridge Park, where they're undefeated, or even in Harwich. They've just been so dominant against the Mariners.
And that's been another funny stat. Even if Harwich wins today, they would have a record of 10-13-1 against the East as Acton puts this one into right field. They will hold Fetko at third. So runners at the corners, 2 away, and Riley Terada coming to the plate.
Yeah, Corey Acton continues to look strong at the plate. 2 for 3 days so far. He's just been putting the bat on the ball well. Took the ball to the opposite field once again and is able to get it through the 5.5 hole and keep the inning alive.
So Terada stands in from the left side. The Brewster Turtle still sitting on top of the Whitecaps dugout. And they are now poking the turtle with a stick.
Hopefully it's not a snapping turtle.
I guess they'll find out one way or another really quickly. Sean Fisher comes set. Terada digs in, runners at first and third with 2 away here in the top half of the 6th. The pitch. That'll miss high, and the count goes 1-0 here on Riley Terada. Unless you can't tell, we're having a lot of fun here on the last day of the regular season.
It's crazy that the playoffs are just right around the corner. It's been one quick summer here in Harwich, but summer full of fun, and luckily for the Harwich Mariners, they'll be continuing that in 2 days.
He certainly will. As Terada takes another pitch high for ball 2, and feels like this season's only lasted about 4 weeks. It feels like there was a week where a lot of temp players ended up having their short-term contracts terminated, and then there was a week where everybody kind of started showing up from the College World Series playoffs. There was a week that was really tough for the M's, and then a week where they've turned it on. So despite the fact that it's been a 2-month season, it certainly hasn't felt that way. Here's a pickoff move. They're going to catch the runner off the bag at first, and now they've got Corey Acton in a rundown. Fetko comes across the score, but it's all for nothing if Acton can't get out of this. He's coming close, though. Another throw gets past the first baseman. Now he turns around the other way. This is going to go on forever, and it's going to be Acton turning the corner. He gets past him. Acton turns around once more. He takes a knee, and he will finally be tagged out as the Brewster Whitecaps catch him, but not before he gives them a run for their money in the best rundown that I've seen. I wish we had video for that.
Yeah, and that actually does count as a run because there was no force play at first on the pickoff, so a smart move over at third by Fetko to come across the score. So with that, Mariners have now cut the lead in half. It's a 4-2 ball game.
So 4-2 our score. We go to the home half of the 6th after this on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. Welcome back to Stony Brook Field. Tyler Henry alongside Colin Casey as we go to the home half of the 6th inning. It'll be the Brewster Whitecaps sending up Mason Dodd, Christian Malfetta, and Justin Vogt trying to pad on to what has become a 2-run lead for them. And calling a new pitcher on the mound for Harwich, or he was actually out there for the last inning, John Tehan. And tell us a little bit about what you saw in that last inning out of him.
Looked pretty good. I mean, got a 1-2-3 inning to the 3, 4, or 5 hitters, so can't get much better than that. He even struck out TJ Coletso. Both of the new pitchers, first career strikeouts the Mariners, coming against a guy with 9 home runs on the season. Something they can certainly hang their heads high in. And now another inning for T, and let's see if he can keep up the good work.
More of a crowd filing in here at Stony Brook Field as the first pitch is fouled back to the screen by Mason Dodd. Dodd's already got 1 home run today, as he absolutely hammered one back in the second inning. Other than that, a fly out to the center fielder. Here comes T. Hens 0-1, and it's a breaking ball in there for strike 2.
Final line on Mason Black. He's in line for the win, went 5 innings, giving up just the 1 earned run, 4 hits, walked 1, struck out 5.
Not a bad day for Mason Black, and that will likely be the last time that he pitches in a Brewster Whitecaps uniform. So kind of a tough way to see such a competitor go out, but it will end up being a lead for his team and an opportunity for a few more wins here at the tail end of the Whitecaps season, as swinging through this one for strike 3 is Mason Dodd.
And now 2 strikeouts for T, and he's got some good velocity on the fastball as he climbed the ladder on Dodd with that pitch and got him to chase after it. So let's see if he can keep the tough pitching up going through the bottom of the order now.
So here comes Christian Malfetta, the longtime Brewster Whitecap. And as we found out, this is actually his 3rd season with the Whitecaps, but his 4th season in the Cape Cod Baseball League, as he was with the Hyannis Harbor Hawks for his freshman year. First pitch to Malfetta will miss high for ball 1.
Malfetta out of Stanford got to face his teammate at Stanford and Jacob Polish yesterday. Actually got a single off of him.
Here comes the 1-0. Fastball in there for a strike, and Tien evens the count up here at 1-1. Of course, one of the 3 additions to the Harwich Mariners roster over the course of the last few days, and that's actually filled out the Harwich roster. Is chasing a ball over in right field here is Ludwig, but that will drop harmlessly, and the count stays at 1-2 here.
Decent day for the bottom third of the order, 2 for 6 so far with a run scored.
Yep, Malfetta represents that run, and the other hit came from Cameron Locklear, who was able to reach base on a double. The 1-2 pitch, that'll be taken up the right side, coming across and picking it up, firing onto first in time is Dylan Noisy. It just got past the outstretched glove of Riley Terada at third, but Noisy's able to pick it up and fire a strike for out number 2.
Yeah, it was a good thing that it got past Terada, because I don't think there's any way he would have been able to make that play with the way he had to lay out for that ball. So a little bit of an easier play for Noisy, having to backhand it and set his feet and make a clean throw for out number 2.
So here comes Justin Vogt. Vogt is 0 for 2 today with a fly out and a ground out. First pitch he sees from John T. Hands in there for a strike.
Vogt, the teammate of Sean Fisher, the current pitcher for Brewster over at Maryland.
Here's a ball taken high in the air. That'll chase Ludwig back to the warning track. He'll make the catch for out number 3, and that'll do it for the 6th inning of play. 3 more left to go before the Harwich regular season is over here on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network.
We also want to recognize and thank
Top of the 7th from Stony Brook Field, Colin Casey alongside Tyler Henry, as Sean Fisher will head out there for his 2nd inning of work. He surrendered a run last inning on what was kind of a strange play, a lengthy rundown with Corey Acton at first that allowed Christian Fedko to score, so Riley Terada will actually get a chance to complete his at-bat to lead off the inning.
Yeah, that's the longest rundown I think I've ever seen in any baseball game that I have watched. So Acton really kept it alive for a while. Looked at the end, he just kind of lost some energy and had to kind of give up and go down to a knee.
So it's Tirada, Ludwig, and Harrington due up. Tirada looking to break an 0 for 2 with a pair of strikeouts so far, as he will take on the left-hander out of Maryland, Sean Fisher.
A couple of quick updates from around the league. The Falmouth Commodores defeat the Kentuit Kettleers in Game 1 of their doubleheader by a score of 7-2. The Hyannis Harbor Hawks are leading the YD Red Sox 5-3 and could potentially pull off another victory against YD. And then the Kentuit Kettleers up on the Falmouth Commodores in Game 2 of their doubleheader.
Be a season sweep to tack on to their end of the year for Hyannis. Or not a season sweep, a home-and-home sweep, I should say, as the first pitch actually catches the bottom of the strike zone on Tirada for a strike.
Yeah, once again, Tirada didn't think so, and there's just a big grin on his face as he turns around and asks home plate umpire Big Bill Julie where that one missed.
Fisher from the windup, the 0-1, is hit hard and off the glove of the shortstop Locklear and into left field, so that's going to be a hard-hit single for Riley Tirada to lead off the 7th.
Yep, not a bad way to get things started for Harwich, and that'll bring up Mike Ludwig, who today is 0 for 1. He reached on a walk back in the 5th inning, but aside from that, it's been a quiet day for the big lefty.
The right fielder from
so Ludwig gets an opportunity. It's been a little while since he's last been in the starting lineup. He was used as a pinch hitter in the first game yesterday for Hal Hughes against Orleans. And he swings at the first pitch and hits it out towards left field, but Jesse Franklin hardly has to move. He makes a catch for out number 1.
Second time today he's flying out to Franklin. Both have looked more or less identical, but here comes a guy who's 1 for 2 today, hitting 500 on the year as a Harwich Mariner. It's Sean Harrington.
From Walpole, Massachusetts.
Harrington from Walpole, Mass. At D3 school Babson,
Harrington.
Right in Wellesley, right outside of Boston. So it's a lefty-lefty matchup, and let's see if Harrington can get the better of the tough southpaw Sean Fisher. First pitch. That's on the outside corner. Mariners sitting at 21, 21, and 1 coming into their final game. So an opportunity to finish the season above 500 if they can come back and win. They trail 4-2. And that breaking ball is in, so Harrington behind 0-2.
Yeah, nasty hook there by Sean Fisher. And, of course, if Harwich could finish their season above 500, that would make 4 of the 5 teams in the East end their seasons above the half-and-half line.
All 4 playoff teams. The 0-2 comes in and it hits Harrington's helmet, and he's all right. And someone's yelling out in the Mariners dugout, telling him to get fired up, as Harrington will take his first base and Tirada will head down to second.
And, I mean, he took that one right off the helmet. I mean, that knocked his helmet clean off, and he didn't really look that shaken up. He kind of just turned around, picked up his helmet, and took his base. So, boy, that was a little bit scary, but he appears to be no worse for wear, and Coach Engler comes out and has a word with him. Harrington's got a big grin on his face.
Yeah, it looked like a fastball that just came up and in off of Fisher, so that puts 2 on with 1 away in the tying run now on first base, with top of the order due up in Max Marshak, who's got an RBI double. It's also lined out to second, flown out to center. First pitch. Marshak looks to bunt, and it is deflected straight back. It actually glanced off the catcher Vogt.
So we'll see whether or not they want to play some small ball here. They only need 2 more runs in the inning, and Marshak so far today is currently working on a 1 for 3. Had a line out back in the first.
Marshak and Dylan Noisy, both late arrivals out of Texas Tech after competing in the College World Series semifinals. The 0-1 is a jam shot off to the right out of play.
Yep, and of course, a lot of late arrivals to this team. It's kind of just the nature of the beast in the Cape Cod Baseball League. Got a roster full of guys at the beginning of the year that may or may not be there come playoff time, and a lot of guys coming in from the College World Series playoffs later on. So Harwich getting a healthy dose of LSU Tigers and also Texas Tech Red Raiders.
0-2 from Fisher, a breaking ball that misses outside. Third baseman Gage Workman playing behind the third base bag, so with 2 strikes in the at-bat, he's not expecting a 2-strike bunt from Marshak, but a slow roller down the third base line, and Marshak might be able to reach base. Tirada on second, Harrington on first, 1 away in the top of the 7th, 4-2 the score. Fisher briefly steps off now, goes immediately back on the rubber. Long look in, and now he comes set. The 1-2. Hit on the ground, left side. That's going to get through into left field for a base hit. Torado will hold at third base, and the bases are going to be loaded for Dylan Noisy.
Perfect scenario here for Harwich as you've got your guy at the plate. Noisy is 1 for 3 today with a single, but he has got the capability to drive a few in here and at least bring Harwich even in this game.
Change for the Whitecaps. Tyler Hardman now playing at third
And we've got a
base.
defensive change to tell you about. Is actually it's going to be it for Gage Workman. Is at third base now. It is going to be Tyler Hardman, the powerful right-handed bat.
And a guy who really has had his fair share of success against Harwich this year.
Certainly has. 4 home runs, I believe.
4 home runs in the course of 2 games at one point this season, including 8 RBIs.
First pitch to Noisy's on the outside corner for a strike with the bases loaded, and one of them was a game-tying home run at White House Field. That made it 4-4, but that was it for Brewster as Christian Fedko came through with a go-ahead base knock, and Harwich ended up taking that game. One of the key wins in this season series that has made the difference in terms of playoff picture as the 0-1's on the outside corner, so Noisy behind the 8-ball here 0-2.
Yeah, Noisy not very happy about that call either, so he'll have to shorten up a little bit here with a 0-2 count.
Sean Harrington represents the tying run at second base with Marshak the go-ahead run with a lot of speed over at first. Now the 0-2. Chopper up the middle, and it's going to get through for a base hit. Harrington holds up, but he wasn't sure. Now we got a log jam as everyone is kind of hung up. The throw comes home. Harrington scores anyways. The throw back to third, and Marshak is out. But 2-run score, and the game is now tied.
And I'm not even fully convinced that Marshak was out there at third. That was an awfully close call, but again, it's going to be a log jam, as you mentioned, coming across from second to third and forcing Harrington to come home to score. Thought was Max Marshak, but apparently not.
So, after all that, Dylan Noisy stands on second. He has a 2-run single that ties the game up. And he represents the go-ahead run with Daniel Cabrera at the plate and 2 away. Fisher looking to get out of the inning. He comes set. A long look over at Noisy, and now he comes home. Breaking ball in at the knees.
And Marshak had to have turned around and gone back to second because, again, he was almost all the way up to third. If he had just stopped on the back, he would have been fine, but he turned around even though Harrington went home.
Yeah, Harrington had held up at third, and it kind of backed up everybody else on the base paths. As the 0-1 comes inside, Marshak had to turn around briefly, and so did Noisy when he got to second, but Noisy decided to stay at second. That forced Marshak to go to third, and close play, but third base umpire ruling that Marshak was indeed out. 1-1 to the LSU Tiger is a breaking ball that ties him up. It's 1-2.
Yep, a big swing and a miss there by Cabrera, trying to drive in maybe one more run here at the tail end of the regular season, and he's done a pretty good job of that so far. I believe he's 4th on the team in RBIs throughout the 2019 season.
Been one of the more consistent bats in this Mariners lineup. And he is 1 for 3 today. Fisher's 1-2 is sliced foul just over the third base grandstands. Clouds starting to move in at Stony Brook Field. Luckily, no dark clouds like we had to deal with the last time the Mariners were here.
Yep, no big threat of rain today. There is some rain in the radar potentially tomorrow, which could wreak havoc on the playoffs for the Cape Cod Baseball League.
Should be interesting to see how that turns out as a cue shot is hit down the third base line, and Sean Fisher is able to catch it before it hits the grass, and that will end the inning, but not before the Mariners strike for 2 more runs. They have tied the ball game after being down 4-0. We head to the 7th inning stretch. 4-4, Harwich and Brewster deadlocked. You're listening to the Harwich Mariners Radio Network. the bottom of the 7th we go. Colin Casey alongside Tyler Henry. And Tyler, despite the Mariners not really playing for anything in this game, they fight back after being down 4-0 with a run in the 5th, a run in the 6th, and 2 runs in the 7th.
Yep, and once again, no lead is safe for either of these teams against the other. The exception of the 6-run lead yesterday.
First pitch to Cameron Locklear is laid off for a ball. Locklear is 1 for 2 with a double and a run scored. He takes a couple of high fastballs to John Tian, who is on for his 7th inning of work. Or excuse me, his 3rd inning of works here in the 7th inning. As the 2-0 pitch is just outside, so he's having trouble finding the strike zone to lead off the inning.
Yeah, we'll see whether or not his control improves over the course of his outing. But again, I mean, he's looked pretty good with the exception of, actually so far he's looked flawless, 6 up, 6 down.
There's a strike to Locklear out of Liberty University, a few hours south of here in the mid-Atlantic. And the 3-1 is hit very high out towards center field. Marshak is able to find it, and he will make the grab. So despite the 3-0 count, Tian able to work away from it. He gets the leadoff man out to begin the bottom of the 7th.
Yep, pretty good play, and now we'll face the top of the order with Duke Ellis coming up to play here.
Number 4, Duke Ellis.
So here's Duke Ellis with Tyler Hardman waiting in the on-deck circle. He'll get his first plate appearance in the 7th after being a defensive replacement for Gage Workman over at 3rd base. First pitch from Tian is up and away for a ball. Ellis has reached base twice, but still no hits. He walked in the 1st and was hit in the 3rd. And Tian falls behind once again, 2-0. Once again, Brewster with one more game in the regular season slated for tomorrow at Bourne. As count now 3-0. So despite not playing for anything, they'll still have one more game to get through, and then Brewster will have to wait until 2020 to try to go after another Cape League championship. 3-0 is over for a strike.
They did get the big one just a day ago. Or not a day ago, sorry, 2 years ago.
Foul straight back, so just a down year for a program that usually is one of the premier teams out here on the Cape, as it seems like every team in the East is always battling hard. A lot of great teams really across the Cape, as we've seen a fair share of championships spread throughout, as the 3-2 is swung on and missed for strike 3. That is the 3rd strikeout for John Tian, as he has pitched a great 2 2/3 so far, 2 away in the bottom of the 7th.
He's putting on a show, and I mean, again, it's performances like this that might land you a spot in the, in the bullpen rotation for Harwich going into the postseason.
So here's Tyler Hardman, who gets a considerable amount of cheers from the Brewster home crowd. First pitch is swung on and popped up down the right field line, as Cabrera will give it a look, but it is out of play.
Yep, every ball hit in the air draws a deep breath from Harwich fans, as Tyler Hardman's already hit 4 home runs in just 2 games against the Mariners.
It's actually Mike Ludwig out in right field. Cabrera getting a start in left, as the 0-1 is in for a called strike 2. Haven't seen Ludwig play the field too much this season. He's been in a real DH role when he has played, but not much on the line here. He gets a start in right. The 2-2 is a high pitch swung on and hit right at the second baseman, Corey Acton. So it is 9 up, 9 down for John Tian as he continues to impress in his Mariners debut. We're through 7 from Stony Brook Field. 4-4 is the score. You're listening to the Harwich Mariners Radio Network.
Get your glasses, get valued at $30.
Welcome back to Stony Brook Field. Tyler, Henry, Colin, Casey, a playoff update for you. Looking at the series between Chatham and Orleans, I did go back and look into the record books, and the interesting thing about this is that Chatham actually won the first 3 meetings between these two teams, with the exception of yesterday's game, where Orleans finally was able to get a victory over the Anglers. So Chatham can lock up the 1 seed if they get a win today, regardless of what Orleans does in that last game. If Orleans wins, it would be up to the Chatham Anglers to try to find a way to win the final game of the season, and then it comes down to run differential, and we'll take a look at that here in just a moment. But, you know, it could get really close as to which one of these teams ends up being the 1 seed and faces Harwich in the opening round of the playoffs.
So we got another new pitcher, the third of the game for Brewster, and it's going to be Brian Craven, the right-hander out of Hingham, Mass. I don't really actually have a college here, but I believe I just heard, if I didn't hear correctly, it might have been Richmond. I'm not entirely sure, but Craven will get his first opportunity here in the second to last game of the season, a rising sophomore, local kid from Hingham, Mass, just about an hour and a half northwest from here.
He's been perfect so far. 1 inning pitched. He has not given up a single hit. He has walked 1 guy and struck out 1 guy.
So Craven in a pretty high-pressure situation, it being a tie game in the top of the 8th. Of course, not a whole lot of meaning behind this game, but still both teams fighting to try to pick up 1 last victory, or perhaps 2 in case of Brewster's. They still have 1 more game to go tomorrow. So 4, 5, and 6 hitters due up. Chris Lanzilli, who is 0 for 3 with a fielder's choice. Did some damage against Orleans yesterday with that 3-homer, 7-inning game, which makes it all the more impressive. He could have had more at-bats if that was 9 innings, but he fouls off the first pitch he sees. Had a couple of Mariners have some really big performances in 7-inning games this year. Daniel Cabrera had a huge one against Hyannis, in which he plated 4 runs, finished 1 leg of the cycle shy, just a triple shy, as pitch comes in and hits Lanzilli. That is the second time that Lanzilli has been hit in the last 3 days, so he'll take his base, and leadoff man is on for the Mariners in the 8th.
Seems like Harwich has been getting pelted just left and right, so Lanzilli will take first. That'll bring up Christian Fedko. He's already scored 1 run today. Colin, an interesting note, the Chatham Anglers are now last place in the league. Or actually not last place in the league, but they're down there in runs scored, as they have really kind of let that slip away this year.
Last in the league in batting average, as it used to be Harwich for a while. They've actually climbed past Chatham and Hyannis to move up to 8th place with this offensive outburst, as Craven, the Submariner, first pitch misses inside to Fedko. Christian Fedko 1 for 3 with a run scored back in the 6th inning. As the 1-0 is hit up the middle, this could be 2. Step on second for 1. The throw is in time. It's going to be a 6-3 double play, as Cameron Locklear walked on over to second, stepped on it, and made the throw on to TJ Collette. So a big double play ball. The bases are empty with 2 away.
Yep, that's a good play there, and they're able to get out of some trouble. So now nobody on for Corey Acton, although the way he's been swinging the bat lately, he could very well give Harwich the lead with 1 swing here.
Acton 2 for 3 with a ground out and 2 singles in his last 2 at-bats. So Craven looking to pitch a scoreless 8th, and he misses down and away with a fastball. Corey Acton out of Fort Lauderdale, Florida, attending University of Florida, so one of the few guys on this roster that have kind of stayed in his home state to go to college, as the 1-0 misses outside. I know Hal Hughes, another guy, Louisiana native, playing at LSU. Same goes for his teammate Daniel Cabrera out of River Ridge, Louisiana.
So taking a look at the run differential here between Chatham and Orleans is the next pitch.
Is grounded to the right side, and it gets under the glove of Mason Dodd, a sloppy play. But again, this is a guy who typically plays first base, and certainly didn't look like a second baseman on that one, as he commits an error.
So going back to the run differential between Chatham and Orleans, Colin, the run differential for Chatham this year, as of today, is +1. The run differential for Orleans is +25.
Yeah, and I believe for the Harwich Mariners, it was back up in the +20. So over the last few games, the Mariners have really gone up in that run plus differential. But that shows a huge difference between Orleans and Chatham. One team has gotten some solid hitting, the other really hasn't, as the first pitch misses inside to Riley Tirada.
Well, and Orleans now gives up the fewest runs in the league with only 148 this year. They're a couple behind Harwich, or a couple ahead of Harwich, I should say, as the Mariners have allowed just 154 on the year.
Yeah, Kelly Nicholson's squad in Orleans going to be a really tough out in this upcoming playoff series as Tirada lays off to make it 2-0. No matter who the Firebirds play, it's going to be tough, especially with them having the luxury of Eldridge Park as their home field. A huge crowd probably going to be on hand for those two playoff games. Two at the very least in the first round, as 2-0 is over for a strike to Tirada.
Yep, same goes for Veterans Field in Chatham if it comes down to that. So one way or another, there will be some very well-attended postseason play between those two teams, and likely they will not be facing each other. Actually, it's impossible for them to face each other at this point. One has to play against Harwich in the opening round.
2-1 misses up and away, so Tirada looking to keep this two-out rally going after Acton reaching on the error by Mason Dodd.
There is, of course, always the scenario where Chatham outscores Orleans. They win both of the next two games, and they have the run differential shifted by 24 runs, although that's extremely unlikely.
Big cut by Tirada, and he swings and misses. We've seen a couple of blowouts this year throughout the Cape League. We've seen 15-1 games and stuff like that, including an 11-0 victory for the Mariners just a couple of days ago at Veterans Field. But again, being able to string together a couple within a span of 2 games, very difficult to do. There's a lot of great pitching throughout this Cape Cod Baseball League. Brian Craven comes set. The 3-2 is swung on and missed for strike 3, so Tirada goes down on strikes for the third time, and the half inning is over. We head to the bottom of the 8th. 4-4 the score between the Harwich Mariners and the Brewster Whitecaps. You're listening to the Harwich Mariners Radio Network.
Your tickets, your chance for one. You can pick up all your prizes at the 50-50 raffle table right next
Bottom
to
of the 8th from Stony Brook Field, Colin Casey alongside Tyler Henry, and on comes John Tien for his 4th inning of work, and he has been exceptional this afternoon, pitching a 1, 2, 3, 5th, 6th, and 7th innings.
Yep, looking to make it another scoreless frame here, as again, it was a kind of a shaky start for Greg Tobin today, who allowed 4 runs to come across, but so far, not even a hit allowed throughout the first couple of innings for John Tehan, the other addition to the Harwich Mariners late in the year. So we'll see whether or not he can maintain that. And the guys he will be facing will be in the heart of the order: TJ Collette, Tyler Gentry, and Jesse Franklin.
Leading off for your Whitecaps, the first
so here's
baseman
Collette, the
from
Kentucky Wildcat,
53,
getting a favorable matchup against a righty, as he's seen the ball a lot better against right-handed pitching this season, a big power threat. He is 1 for 3 with a run scored. First pitch to TJ is hit a ton out towards left center field, going back at the wall, and it is just short of the wall. It'll bounce off of it. Collette comes into second standing. He's got a leadoff double.
TJ Collette.
Well, there goes the partial no-hitter here for John Tehan, but look at whether or not he'll bounce back with Tyler Gentry coming to the plate.
The right fielder from Alabama.
Gentry is 0 for 3, reached via
Tyler
a Dylan Noisy
Gentry.
throwing error back in the 3rd inning, the only offense he has provided in this one. He's got an opportunity to give his team a late lead here in the bottom of the 8th. Tian looks in. Now he comes set. First pitch comes in and hits Tyler Gentry, so that'll give the Mariners the double play ball possibility, but now 2 on and no out in the bottom of the 8th.
Yeah, not really 100% sure what the idea was there, but Gentry just stands in and takes the ball, and that will take us here to the next hitter, who will be Jesse Franklin. So far on the day, 1 for 3. Facing off against John Tien. He has just allowed his first 2 base runners of the game after giving up nothing through the first 3 innings.
Franklin looking to finish above 300 on the season. He's only been out there for a few games. He's played in 7 total games coming in today as Coach Neuenberg's going to go out and talk with his pitcher, John Tien.
Yep, Coach Berger going to come out and have a word with his guy just to make sure that everything's all right. But again, back to the playoff situation is, again, the Chatham Anglers will take on the Orleans Firebirds tonight. And if Chatham wins, they lock down the playoff spot. If Orleans wins, they have to win the 3rd game of the season, or the 6th game of the season series, tied up at 3-3. But then they have the secondary tiebreaker, which would ultimately give them the lead. So really the only way, and plus if Orleans wins the next 2 games, they're well ahead of Chatham anyway, so it doesn't really matter for the Firebirds. And again, Colin, I'm with you. I'd much rather play this Chatham team right now, especially after they had to, well, didn't have to, but chose to release several guys who just didn't really seem interested in playing in the Cape anymore.
Yeah, very unique situation, and I guess some guys just losing motivation after the 2 months that they have spent down here, but show must go on, and Chatham will try to make do with what they have left as the
Once again, Jesse
mound visit
Franklin
concludes,
at the
and
plate.
here's Jesse Franklin with TJ Collette on second and Tyler Gentry at first. John Tien's first pitch is a backdoor breaking ball that's over for a strike. Franklin out of Michigan. His team the runner-up in the College World Series to Vanderbilt. Now the 0-1 is a tapper up the first baseline that will roll foul. Lanzilli picks it up in foul territory.
And a Michigan team that nobody really saw coming. Going into the Super Regional, I believe they were the 3 seed. They end up coming out of a division they weren't even supposed to make it past, and then they continue their stream. They eliminate teams like Texas Tech, which then brings Max Marshak and Dylan Noisy here to the Mariners and go all the way to the final. They come up just 1 game short, dropping the decisive Game 3 to the Vanderbilt Commodores.
Be a quick turnaround, though, for the Wolverines out in Ann Arbor, as all of a sudden it's going to be football season come the next month, as the 0-2 is fouled off to the left.
Should be an interesting season of college football all around the entire landscape, really. It should be an interesting year for Arizona State as well, as some quarterback controversy to start the year.
As far as UMass goes, still independent, still trying to get back into a conference, but a new coach in Walt Bell. We'll see how things go for the Minutemen as they open the season on August 30th against Rutgers, as the 0-2 is fouled straight back.
Yep, Jesse Franklin just trying to have a couple more good at-bats here in his final, well, and what will be his final at-bats over the last couple of days. Season winding down here for the Brewster Whitecaps, but again, still a lot of positive energy here for this team, and it shows. The Turtle still up there on the dugout for the Whitecaps down the 3rd baseline.
Go ahead and run on second, 2 on in total, and 2 strikes to Franklin as he lays off a pitch. Harrington had to get way out of his crouch to keep that from going to the backstop.
Yeah, and no matter what happens, it's probably going to be Tehans the rest of the way, unless they want to bring in a guy like Blake Espinal. But mostly trying to save the bullpen arms for the postseason push.
Got an obstructed view of the bullpen, so hard to tell if anyone truly is warming up at this juncture. The 1-2. Swing and a miss, strike 3, as Tien able to battle back after putting the first 2 guys on base. He strikes out Franklin for out number 1.
And Tien with an opportunity to maybe get out of some trouble here, as he will face Mason Dodd for a 3rd time.
Number 20, Mason
Dodd had the solo home run to open the scoring back in the bottom of the 2nd. He then flew out in the 3rd and struck out swinging in the 6th. Dodd, the big lefty out of Belmont Abbey. And Tien's first pitch misses low just above the dirt. So Brewster looking to improve their home record to what would be 10-11-1 closing out the year, as there's a fastball in the outside corner. A lot of teams with positive home records throughout the Cape, Brewster not being one of them. I'm sure there's a bunch of games right here at Stony Brook Field that they wish they could have played differently. The 1-1, breaking ball misses low.
Yeah, typically home is where you want to have your best work done on the season. As you mentioned, I think every other team in the East has a positive home record, but Brewster this year just 10, 11, or sorry, just 9, 11, and 1 here at Stony Brook.
Each team plays 22 at home, 22 on the road. Harwich has concluded their home regular season record as Dodd fouls a pitch off. They are 13, 8, and 1 at home. So against home or at home and against the West, the two splits that have been really kind to Harwich, as they are also 12 and 8 against the Western Division this year.
Yep, and that was a big part of the reason why they had such a successful 2019 campaign. Is you look at a team that this year is going to go 9, 13, and 1 depending on today's result against the East and still make the playoffs by a game and a half.
2-2 just misses off the outside corner as Tian really wanted that call, but instead it's going to be a full count to Dodd.
Yep, Mason Dodd's already got 1 home run today. Dropped an absolute moonshot to straightaway center field back in the second. Aside from that, 0 for 2 with a strikeout and a flyout.
Payoff pitches hit on the ground to second. Acton, short way to Noisy. The return throw is in time. An inning-ending double play as John Tian makes it 4 shutout innings, and some cheers coming from some John Tian supporters, him being a local guy, and the inning is over. So we head to the 9th inning as Take Me Out to the Ball Game plays after the 8th inning in what's been a real backwards day at Stony Brook Field. Score still 4-4. You're listening to the Harwich Mariners Radio Network. We head to the last inning of the Harwich Mariners regular season with a score tied 4-4 between Mariners and the Brewster Whitecaps here at Stony Brook Field. And due up for Harwich, it's going to be the 8, 9, and 1 hitters Mike Ludwig, Sean Harrington, and Max Marshak.
Another good set of guys here for Harwich to try to get something done and strike for at least one more run here in the 9th. And Colin, you do wonder if they get a lead, whether or not they might bring in another bullpen pitcher just to come in for 1 inning and try to end their season above 500, something they tried to do for a majority of the year. They were playing with the 500 line since June 20, I believe it was June 18th, was the last time they were 500 prior to yesterday's game. So Harwich finally right back at the money line at 21, 21, and 1. Even a tie here today would keep their record at 500, and that would feel like a huge victory for a team that spent most of the season well under that line.
Brian Craven will head out for his second inning of work.
Forest, number 13,
Craven pitched a
Michael
scoreless 8th inning. He got a much-needed double play on Christian Fedko after Chris Lanzilli led things off with a hit by pitch. So here's Mike Ludwig. He is 0 for 2 with a walk. First pitch is a high pop-up towards the left side, crossing into foul territory. Tyler Hardman is able to make the catch right in front of the bleachers for out number 1.
Yep, and we'll see whether or not this goes as another quick 1-2-3 inning here, as so far Brian Craven has looked pretty good. He's given up a couple of runners, but aside from that, nobody's come across the score.
Sean Harrington, who is 1 for 2 with a run scored, digs in. He was also hit in his last plate appearance, but he came around and scored what was the tying run in the top of the 7th. First pitch to Harrington just misses.
And here on opposite day, quick update for you. Another grand slam gives the Hyannis Harbor Hawks, I believe, a 9-3 lead over the YD Red Sox.
You know who hit it?
Yes, actually. It was the second of the year for... Let me go back and find this again really quickly, unless you know off the top of your head.
Not exactly sure, as it's a 2-0 count. My guess, my money's on Hunter Goodman.
It was Trevor Hauver.
Oh, okay.
The Arizona State Sun Devil with his second grand slam of the year.
Yeah, he would have probably been my second choice, the other big power bat in that Harbor Hawk lineup.
So it's a 9-3 lead for the Harbor Hawks. Whitey's going to end their season with a couple of losses to the CCBL's worst team.
Sean Harrington with a patient start to this at-bat as he leads 3-0 on Brian Craven, the right-hander out of the University of Richmond, an A10 school. And 3-0 almost hits Harrington. That would have been the second time he was hit, but it just misses, and he will head on down to first with a one-out walk.
And here comes the top of the order for another consecutive time, the 5th time to be exact. So Max Marshak, who was 2 for 4, really good day for him, comes to the plate here in a pretty crucial spot for the M's, looking to potentially get one more run across here and take the lead.
Marshak had that RBI double, his first extra base hit of the season back in the 5th. Another one might be able to give Harwich the lead, but instead it's a slow roller to second, the flip to short, and Locklear tags second. That will retire Harrington, but too much speed coming down the line for a double play, so Marshak reaches on a fielder's choice.
And that's the ideal guy to have at first base right now, is with Dylan Noisy coming to the plate. We're likely going to see a steal coming up here for Max Marshak.
So the Mariners down to their last out because this game will go no further than 9 innings, so at the very least they would, or at the very most, they would be able to draw a tie if they cannot score with this final out. Runner on first, the pitch from Craven to Dylan Noisy misses up and away.
And a really short lead here for Marshak, so maybe he's not thinking about stealing right now, but it would certainly be a good way to try to tack that last run on here for Harwich in the 9th.
Mariners have not tied on the road yet this season as Marshak's on move. The pitch is a strike. The throwdown is not going to be in time as it is a stolen base for the speedster out of Texas Tech, Max Marshak.
A short lead and an average jump, and still Max Marshak's able to get in there without even a close play. So another really good jump, or really good steal for him, and the runner's in scoring position here with 2 away.
Marshak picks up his 9th steal of the season, and he has only been here for about 4 weeks. 1-1 misses up and away, ball 2. Dylan Noisy, his teammate, looking to drive in Marshak and give the Mariners a late lead. A look over at second by Craven, and the 2-1. That one misses as well, so Craven in danger of surrendering his second walk of the inning.
Yep, and we'll see whether or not he does, in fact, do that. If he does, it would make a force out at any bag on Daniel Cabrera, who today is 1 for 4.
A look at second and the 3-1. That pitch is in there for a strike as Noisy kind of waited and took a late step, but he digs back into the box.
Didn't even really move towards first base. He kind of just stood there, and I think he thought that ball was in the zone. So the count is full here. Noisy will be swinging away. A head start for Max Marshak means that anything down on the outfield grass should score him.
Brian Craven comes set. The payoff pitch is a check swing fouled into the netting off to the right.
Yeah, another pitch that Noisy thought he was going to get. He got completely jammed on the inside, and he's somehow still able to fight it off.
Dylan Noisy out of Smithville, Texas. Got an opportunity to give the Mariners the lead here in the top of the 9th. Another 3-2, and Noisy fouls it off his leg.
Yep, doing a good job of staying alive here and at least extending the inning. Trying to keep Harwich's hopes of coming out with a victory in their final regular season game alive.
Base hit should get the job done with Marshak running on contact at second base. Noisy with just 2 home runs in the season, coming in the same game against YD. Here's another payoff. Marshak on the move. Pitch is inside for ball 4, and Max Marshak in the process steals third base. So the go-ahead run now 90 feet away with 2 away in the 9th.
Yeah, and all Daniel Cabrera has to do is find a way to get something anywhere that finds the outfield grass is going to score Marshak. So the sac fly is obviously out of play with 2 outs here, but Harwich with a golden opportunity to potentially scratch one more across, and for the last time in the regular season, tack on a run here with 2 away.
So that makes Max Marshak the 3rd Harwich Mariner to have double-digit steals on the season. He joins Chris Gallen with 13 and Daniel Cabrera with 10. So here is Cabrera, and he swings the first pitch very late on it. It goes off to the left out of play.
Yeah, it's been a quiet day for Daniel Cabrera. Again, just the 1 for 4, but he did reach back in the fourth inning.
More speed on the base paths at first, as Dylan Noisy has 6 steals in the season. He has been caught 4 times. So that secondary hasn't exactly been consistent all year long. The 0-1 misses low and away.
Yeah, but a pretty short lead over there at first base from Dylan Noisy. Harwich knows that they really just need to find a way to get one run in here if they can. But again, a very low pressure situation here, as this game is ultimately meaningless mathematically.
1-1 is fouled off to left once again, as Cameron Locklear playing really close to that second base bag, the shortstop. So a bit of a shift on Daniel Cabrera, but he was late on the first 2 pitches as they both went opposite field. Let's see if he can take advantage of that shift and drop one into left. Marshak on third, Noisy on first. 2 outs in the 9th. The 1-2 misses up and away.
And we'll see whether or not Noisy gets an earlier lead than we would typically see him grab. He may or may not be running here with a 2-2 count regardless.
Chris Lanzilli waiting in the on-deck circle. 2-2, Dylan Noisy is running, and Cabrera gets a piece of it, and he remains alive.
Yep, so Noisy will head back to first. The count stays at 2-2, still 2 away here in a 4-4 ball game. Top of the 9th here at Stony Brook Field.
And if Cabrera is able to work the count full, that would give Noisy a head start at first, and a ball in the gap should plate 2 runs. But for now, it's a 2-2 pitch from Craven, and it's a ground ball up the middle, a tough play. Locklear makes it, and the throw is in time. So Cameron Locklear with a great play to keep the game tied as we head to the bottom of the 9th. 4-4 is your score. You're listening to the final game of the Harwich Mariners regular season on the Mariners Radio Network.
Art Arnold.
Bottom of the 9th from Stony Brook Field. Colin Casey alongside Tyler Henry as the Harwich Mariners look to play for the tie. It is 4-4, and with the de facto rules of the Cape Cod, with the amount of games being played late in the season, they decided that they're going to only have games go the regularly scheduled distance, whether it be 7 or 9 innings. So we will just go 9, and it'll be the bottom of the order for Brewster to try to pick up their 19th victory of the season in a walk-off fashion.
Yep, and it would be a good way to end for their year, especially with their final home game here. A lot of these guys will never play another game at Stony Brook Field. So, you know, it'd be a good sentiment here for all the fans that showed up to watch the final home game of the season. And, of course, another game tomorrow at Bourne for this squad.
So here's Christian Malfetta, who's been there for a while, and hits a high drive to left field and deep. Going back at the wall, and it is just in front of the fence. As, boy, what a moment that would have been for Christian Malfetta. But Daniel Cabrera makes the catch 2 feet in front of the wall for a loud out number 1.
I mean, you want to talk about a potential proper send-off after spending 4 years in the Cape and 3 years with the Brewster Whitecaps. He could have sent him out in big fashion here, but he ends up just coming up short for the first out of the inning.
Got under it just a little bit too much as John Tian, who has given up just the 1 hit in 4 1/3 innings, served one up to him, but couldn't quite get it over the fence, and it's now an 0-1 count to University of Maryland's Justin Vogt, the catcher. He is 0 for 3, couple of flyouts and a ground out, and he takes a pitch in the dirt to even things up. Once again, the Mariners will next be in action on August 2nd, 2 days from now. It's the 1-1 misses up and in. That game, we're not sure exactly where it's going to be, but we will have radio coverage in that one, either at Eldridge Park or Veterans Field, depending on the outcome of 2 games played between the Anglers and the Firebirds, as 3-1 count now to Justin Vogt. The pitch from Tien is foul tipped into the mitt, held on to by Harrington, and that'll run the count full.
Yep, and of course Orleans needing to win both of their games against Chatham if they're going to be the 1 seed. It will be just 1 win needed for the Chatham-A's, who might want home field advantage.
And there's strike 3 called as Vogt. Can't really believe it as he flips his bat towards home, and he's got a few choice words for the home plate umpire as he heads back to the dugout, as that is now strikeout number 4 for John Tien. He is 1 out away from securing a tie against Brewster Whitecaps. So Cameron Locklear will have the last opportunity. He made a stellar play to end the top half of the inning, and he will take a first pitch fastball over for a strike.
Yep, looking to close this one out strong is John Tien, who looked really good throughout the entirety of this game, allowed just 2 base runners and 1 hit so far. And he just needs 1 more.
Breaking ball hit in the air out towards center field. This should do it. Max Marshak back, and he makes the catch for out number 3. So this game will end in a tie. The final score from Stony Brook Field, it is Harwich 4 and Brewster 4, as the final season series will finish with Harwich owning it 3-2-1 against the Whitecaps. We will come back real quick and wrap things up on the regular season for the Mariners. Once again, final score 4-4. You're listening to the Harwich Mariners Radio Network.
Thank you so very much for support.
For one last time on the Harwich Mariners regular season, we wrap things up, this time from Stony Brook Field, as Mariners end their regular season with a tie against the Brewster Whitecaps. Final score in this one, 4-4. And Tyler, in a game that didn't really have much meaning, one of the big shining bright spots for the Mariners in this one was John Tien, who came out and relieved Greg Tobin, who had a decent start, giving up 4 runs, 3 earned on 6 hits through 4 innings. But Tien, 5 innings, just 1 hit allowed. He didn't walk anyone, no runs allowed, and he struck out 5. Definitely something to really look forward to for the Mariners.
And he could definitely be the kind of guy that Harwich uses out of the bullpen regularly going forward. I mean, again, they've needed another bullpen arm, and, you know, between the 2 guys that threw today, I think Tien is the one that we may just see in the playoffs. So this may not be a one-off for him after all. And, again, a really positive end to the Harwich season, as they will finish at 500. They will not be above it, but more importantly, they will not be below it. I think that's very important to a lot of these guys.
So as we wrap things up from Stony Brook Field, the final score once again 4-4 between Harwich and Brewster. The Mariners finish their 2019 regular season with a final record of 21-21-2, right at 500. Brewster Whitecaps finish, well, actually they still have 1 more game left against Bourne tomorrow. So through 43 games, they have a record now of 18, 22, and 3. No winning or losing pitcher to tell you about in this one, but a solid start for Mason Black on the other side for the Brewster Whitecaps as he went 5 innings, giving up just the 1 earned run, allowing 4 hits. He walked 1 and struck out 5. Sean Fisher then relieved him, going 2 innings, giving up 3 earned runs on 5 hits. No walks, no strikeouts, and Brian Craven wrapping things up, another temp player who looked pretty good out there, giving up no hits, no runs, and walked 2 and struck out 1 over 2 innings of work. So once again, final score in this one, 4-4, as the Harwich Mariners will look to play either Chatham or Orleans on the road in Game 1 of what will be a best-of-3 series in the first round of the 2019 CCBL playoffs, as the Mariners look to win their first CCBL championship since the 2011 season. For all of us here at the Harwich Mariners broadcast booth, our producer Tyler Henry, special thanks to our guests on the show, Koki Riley from the Brewster Whitecaps, and of course, as always, as we've had a couple of times on the season, Jack Belanger and Alex Weiner. So a couple of guys that we've had rotating through the booth on a fun afternoon here from Stony Brook Field. But the Whitecaps and the Mariners tie this afternoon, 4-4 the final score. For all of us here, once again, from my broadcast partner Tyler Henry, I am Colin Casey, and we will see you in the playoffs as next game, once again, August 2nd, between the Harwich Mariners and either the Brewster or the Chatham Anglers and the Orleans Firebirds. Thanks for tuning in, and have a very good rest of your day.